The Emperor of Work begins with Conan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. The more you smoke, the more stable your character becomes. Toyama Tobi believed what Rum said. If you want to get a code name and become a cadre in the organization, loyalty must be the first priority. Otherwise, even if you get a code name, you can't get in touch with the core business of the organization. Just like Shuchiake, he is the kind of cadre with a relatively low trust level. As a result, he has been doing some fighting and killing work under Gin, and then he has to be screened by the organization from time to time. It stands to reason that, if there were no big teammates from the FBI, Shuchiake would eventually be able to gain the trust of the organization. But who made him run into such a living treasure? In the secret arrest operation, because of a civilian, he directly stood up and exposed himself, his teammates, and the undercover who had infiltrated the enemy. After the operation was over, he was not sent to a military court. It was considered that these teammates had good tempers. Although Toyama Tobi believed what Rum said, he only believed it half at most. Because as a member of the organization, if you are not capable, you would have died in one mission after another. How can they get promoted based on their qualifications? In the final analysis, this phone call was still a pie in the sky act of Rum. The only difference between the organization and the companies that Toyama Tobi worked for in his previous life was that those shitty companies in his previous life really thought that the pie they drew could satisfy your hunger after drawing it for you. But the organization will really give you a big pie in the end after drawing it for you. Hiss. So the organization is still a conscientious company? Exclamation mark. Rum's time is also precious. After giving Toyama Tobi a task and spending a big pie, Rum hung up the phone. In warehouse number 7 on the 7th floor of Nichimi TV, Conan's reasoning had already ended, and Maori Kagoro also woke up just at the end of the reasoning. As soon as Maori Kagoro woke up, he was praised by Inspector Major and Zyadalan, saying that his reasoning was simply great. Maori fell into deep thought, and there were only Conan and him in the warehouse. Opposite Maori was a camera, and below was an external screen. This is how the reasoning just now was transmitted to the studio on the 9th floor, and the live broadcast to the whole of Tokyo was also. Maori Kagoro obviously realized that he must have fallen asleep just now, and then he pulled Conan over and asked, "Where is Miss Yoko? Didn't you say that Miss Yoko was waiting for me here?" As expected, whether he slept or not, Yoko Akino was more important to Maori Kagoro. Conan was speechless. Where could he get Yoko Akino for Maori Kagoro? He said that, just to trick Maori Kagoro into the warehouse. Who would have thought that Maori Kagoro still didn't forget it after sleeping? Just when Maori Kagoro was about to take Conan out to have a good talk, he pushed open the warehouse door, but found that the warehouse door was full of people. The one in the lead was not the Yoko Akino that Maori had always dreamed of seeing. Yoko Akino looked at Maori Kagoro in front of him with admiration. Originally, Yoko Akino didn't have a deep impression of Maori Kagoro, the mustached detective. Not really. If you are a fan, Maori did leave a deep enough impression on Yoko Akino. But as a detective, the impression of Maori is not even as strong as that of Toyama Tobi. There is nothing that can be done about it, because Toyama Tobi took the lead in solving the last commission of Akino Yoko. Then Akino Yoko saw the live broadcast of Nimori TV today. She was immediately captured by the calm middle-aged uncle temperament of Maori Kagoro. She also suddenly realized that Mr. Maori, who seemed to be a soy sauce, was actually a very powerful detective. It happened that Akino Yoko was working in another studio of Nimori TV. When she saw Maori Kagoro's reasoning, she immediately ran to the door of warehouse number 7 on the 7th floor to express her admiration for Maori with everyone. The appearance of Akino Yoko made Maori Kagoro completely forget that Conan had just lied to him. He threw Conan away and laughed at Akino Yoko without any reservation. Maori Kagoro did not notice that there were other staff members carrying cameras in the crowd at this moment, and he broadcast this scene of his smiling face as it was. Very good, very energetic. Looking at Maori Kagoro, who was laughing with his tongue sticking out on the screen, Toyama Tobi sighed helplessly. It turns out that Maori brother can never go the idle route in this life, not even a little bit. Just be a down-to-earth comedian detective. At least establish this kind of comedian personality for Maori. That means that the funnier Maori Kagoro is in the future, the more stable his personality will be. How is this like Uncle Yu in the previous life? The more he smokes, the more stable his personality will be. The live broadcast effect of Nichimi TV is immediate. Toyama Tobi has received some commission invitations one after another. They all hope that this famous detective who just solved a murder case in the live broadcast of Nichimi TV will help them investigate. This is just the first batch. As the live broadcast ferments, Maori Kagoro's popularity, which has dropped during this period, will increase exponentially. As long as the subsequent operation is proper, Maori Kagoro's fame can be spread to the prefectures, cities, and counties outside Tokyo. Toyama Tobi is not in a hurry to let Maori Kagoro start the next stage of work. Even if you treat Maori Kagoro as a mule, you have to give Maori Mule some time to rest. After agreeing on 2 days of rest with Maori, Toyama Tobi decided to do the task mentioned by Rum. Maori Kagoro, who finally got a vacation, still didn't know what the future was waiting for him. A kind man like Toyama Tobi would naturally not spoil the fun of his good brother at this time. Have fun, Maori, be happy, enjoy yourself, Maori. In 2 days, you will feel the sinisterness of others, and why capitalists should be hung on street lights. Toyama Tobi slowly parked the car in front of the White Dove Pharmaceutical Company, rolled down the window, and said to the guard at the door, "I'm Toyama Tobi. Brother Jin should have greeted you, right? Toyama. Brother Toyama." The guard at the door was shocked when he heard Toyama Tobi's name, and after confirming that Toyama Tobi was himself, he hurriedly raised the lifting bar at the door. Toyama Tobi looked strangely at the 2 guards at the gate, who were a little too nervous. Come to think of it, I haven't done anything recently. Why are they so scared of me? Toyama Tobi parked the car in the parking lot of Hakubato Pharmaceutical Company and looked at the sign of Hakubato Pharmaceutical. Come to think of it, the original book did not mention which pharmaceutical company Habra AI escaped from. And shouldn't Hakubato Pharmaceutical have been shut down by Karasuma Group 25 years ago? It seems that Hakubato Pharmaceutical was acquired by Karasuma Group after its bankruptcy. Miyano Shaho works in the place where Miyano Atsushi and Miyano Alina used to work. I don't know which organization's talent made this arrangement. This is purely a big deal. Chapter 127 are Shirley. That's right, the scientists that Toyama Tobi needs to protect this time are Shirley and Miyano Shaho. It's better to say it's surveillance than protection. When Toyama Tobi found Jin to give instructions, Jin told Toyama Tobi that, although Shirley is a cadre of the organization, she should also be extra careful. Especially Toyama Tobi is responsible for Shirley's security when she goes out this time. In addition to preventing Shirley from getting into danger, he should also be careful not to let Shirley do anything. It seems that Brother Jin is very good at the sense of belonging of each member of the organization. Scientists like Miyano Shaho who are conducting research under semi-coercion of the organization. Even if Miyano Shaho says that she is loyal to the organization, Jin probably won't believe it. Of course, even if the organization couldn't fully trust Shirley in the past, it would not express vigilance so blatantly. But who let Miyano Akimi recruit a great FBI god? If Akeshuchi hadn't had a stupid teammate around him at the time, Jin might have been surrounded by the FBI at that time. Toyama Tobi thinks that the organization should at least give Akeshuchi's stupid teammate a special contribution award. Shuchiake's I'll see, I'm undercover directly reduce the credibility of the Miyano sisters and the organization. Now Jin is no longer pretending to Miyano Shaho, and simply told Toyama Tobi that he doesn't trust that woman. When you follow her out, keep an eye on her. So now Miyano Shaho basically can't leave the Cuba Pharmaceutical unless necessary, and even if she leaves, she has to be accompanied by several official members. And then the cadres of the organization have to lead the team. How to say it, Brother Rum is not completely drawing pie in the sky. At least Toyama Tobi's current work is the work of cadres with wine names. Toyama Tobi can also feel in advance what kind of cow and horse he will be after getting the code name. Entering the Hakuba Pharmaceutical, the organization's base, Toyama Tobi found something even stranger. All the members of the organization who recognized him in the company did not dare to look him in the eye. Even if there were occasionally those who dared to look him in the eye, they would immediately look away in fear after being reminded by the people around them. By the way, they had to smile to please themselves. Isn't this the treatment that Jin gets? Toyama Tobi was puzzled. He was a kind-hearted man, so why were these people so scared? Exclamation mark. No, if he didn't figure this out, Toyama Tobi wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. He casually grabbed a member who was closest to him and pulled him in front of him. When the other members of the organization saw Toyama Tobi's actions, they immediately dispersed, leaving only the unlucky guy in front of him, staring at him with tears and laughter. The so-called crying and laughing is uglier than crying. Brother, you are Neon. The unlucky guy forced an ugly smile and greeted Toyama Tobi. Yuan Shinfei looked at him with disdain. Okay, stop laughing. You're laughing too ugly. After saying this, the unlucky guy simply begged Yuan Shinfei with a sad face. Brother, please don't kill me. You can tell me what kind of smile you want to see. I can learn it. I really learn things very quickly. As long as you don't kill me, you can let me do anything. Really anything? Yuan Shinfei looked up and down at the unlucky guy in front of him, but the words that came out of his mouth made the unlucky guy look even more terrified. The unlucky guy looked at the movie a lot. Generally speaking, such lines are followed by hand-to-hand and easy to understand. The unlucky guy's anus tightened and then made a decision. If he can save his life, then it's not clean. It's better to live than to die. Forget it. The gender is wrong. It's really a disappointment. Yuan Shinfei let go of the unlucky guy in his hand with a dull look. He signaled him to disappear in front of him quickly. The unlucky guy was pardoned for a while, and he fled the corridor in a crawling manner. Even if Toyama Tobi didn't ask the unlucky guy what was going on, Toyama Tobi guessed a thing or two from his performance just now. Was he being spread rumors and started to develop in the direction of Brother Jin? But why? Suddenly Toyama Tobi thought of a New Year gift package from Brother Rumor spreader, tray. Wow, he only got the tray for one day, and there are legends about him in the organization now? Toyama Tobi shook his hands and prepared to find Miya no Shaho, but found that he didn't know where Miya no Shaho was. In desperation, he could only catch another unlucky guy and let him lead the way. Finally, they came to the door of a laboratory of the senior management of Beiju Pharmaceutical. Toyama Tobi let go of the second unlucky guy and pushed open the door of the laboratory directly. As a good subordinate of Brother Jin, you have to follow Brother Jin's style of doing things. Do you have to knock on the door to enter this small laboratory? As soon as the door was opened, Toyama Tobi saw the familiar yet not so familiar Miya no Shaho frowning at the door. In order to express his friendliness, Toyama Tobi smiled like Jin and said, surely. Miya no Shaho felt that Toyama Tobi looked like a fool. Did this guy's face cramp? Why did he make such an awkward expression? Or was he an unknown comedian in the entertainment industry before joining the organization? Should I take care of the self-esteem of the fool and respond to him a little? After staring at each other for a long time, Miya no Shaho nodded calmly. Well, hello. No, isn't the script written like this? Toyama Tobi looked at Miya no Shaho, who was calm in front of him, and fell into deep thought. What's wrong with you, sister? Why are you so hypocritical? When Big Brother Jin called you like this, you trembled like a vibrator. Now I call you, and you actually look at me as if I were a fool. Did you buy me some melon seeds and you look at me like this? Exclamation mark. Without knowing exactly what the difference was between him and Jin, Toyama Tobi gave up looking at Miya no Shaho and introduced himself directly. I'm Toyama Tobi. I'm responsible for your security during your outing this time, so when are you going to leave? Toyama Tobi? Hearing this name, Miya no Shaho looked at Toyama Tobi with a completely complicated look. Speaking of which, the first time Miya no Shaho heard the name Toyama Tobi was from her sister. Although Miya no Akemi was a peripheral member of the organization, she never participated in the organization's tasks. Now that she was suddenly assigned to someone else, it was obvious that this must be Jin's doing. Miyano Shaho also learned from her sister that the first mission she participated in was to rob the post office's mail truck. Although there were some accidents along the way, they still saw blood on Tsukikage Island. When Miyano Akimi met Miyano Shaho, she was still the sunny and cheerful big sister, but as a biological sister, how could Miyano Shaho not feel the changes in her sister? The name Toyama Tobi was remembered by Miyano Shaho at that time. The next time she heard the name Yuan Shinfei was from other members of the Beijing Pharmaceutical Organization. Chapter 128. Excellent workers never do anything extra. Toyama Tobi, Jin's right-hand man, is said to be favored by Rum, the second in command of the organization. He is the official member with the best chance of getting a code name. His style is the same as Jin's. He will kill members of the organization who have conflicts with him, if they disagree with him. It is rumored that Toyama Tobi has found at least 2-digit undercover agents in the organization, and has cleaned up countless traitors in the organization. All those who were targeted by Toyama Tobi eventually had a bad ending. Of course, this is the initial version. Now the version of the rumor about Toyama Tobi in the organization has developed to Toyama Tobi as the reincarnation of the devil. He feels uncomfortable if he doesn't kill people for a day, and he likes to drink human blood and eat human flesh raw. In short, he is a psychopath and a physiological pervert, and there is no trace of a normal person at all. As a highly educated and high-quality talent with higher education, Miyano Shaho naturally doesn't believe everything others say. So Miyano Shaho doesn't believe the later rumors, but Miyano Shaho thinks the initial version of the rumors is very credible. If Toyama Tobi wasn't Jin's confidant, how could Jin put his sister under Toyama Tobi's nose? If Miyano Shaho's favorability can be quantified with a number, there is no doubt that Toyama Tobi's favorability in Miyano Shaho's heart must be negative. So when the sisters rarely met, Miyano Shaho suggested to Miyano Akimi that she would go to Jin to change Miyano Akimi's boss. After the incident with Akeshuchi, Miyano Shaho knew that it was obviously impossible to let her sister continue to be outside the organization's system as before. If there is Akeshuchi today, there may be Orange Shuchi, Yellow Shuchi, and Midoriya Shuchi tomorrow. Only by keeping Miyano Akimi under the supervision of the winner can we prevent the situation similar to Akeshuchi from happening. But it doesn't have to be Toyama Tobi. As soon as Miyano Akimi came under Toyama Tobi's command, she was dragged to rob a mail truck and then broke into the drug dealer's lair. Miyano Shaho was really afraid of what would happen if her sister failed and was caught by the police in the future. To be honest, it was a good thing for the two sisters to be caught by the police, but if they were shot on the spot by the police, Miyano Shaho felt scared when she thought about it. In the end, Miyano Shaho's action was stopped by Miyano Akimi. Unlike Miyano Shaho, Miyano Akimi had a good impression of Toyama Tobi. Although Toyama Tobi took her to rob the mail truck and to find drug dealers to eat each other's money, Toyama Tobi at least gave Miyano Akimi a lot of advice in good faith. In the organization, Toyama Tobi's behavior can be regarded as a great good person. The organization is a selfish place. The superiors treat the subordinates as cannon fodder, and colleagues at the same level want to step on others to get to the top. The people below are secretly staring at the people above, and the idea of replacing them cannot be hidden. Toyama Tobi is willing to remind Miyano Akimi of such dangerous element. To be honest, that is simply unique in the organization. If Miyano Akimi had not seen Toyama Tobi's style of doing things, she might have regarded Toyama Tobi as an undercover sent to the organization by the intelligence agency. Based on this incident, even Akimi Miyano herself was not sure if she changed her boss, would the situation be better than the current one? Not necessarily. So Toyama Tobi was extremely complicated for Miyano Shaho. She never thought that she would meet Toyama Tobi one day. Scientific research and action are different systems in the organization. Unless Miyano Shaho goes out, most of the people she contacts on weekdays are scientific research members. Such an unexpected encounter also made Miyano Shaho a little speechless for a while. She wanted to be venomous to Toyama Tobi, but she was afraid that Toyama Tobi would come back to make things difficult for her sister. If she didn't have a venomous tongue, she couldn't go up to her to try to establish a relationship, right? She had to recognize him too. Oh, what are you in a daze for? When are we leaving? Toyama Tobi found that, after asking the question, Miaya no Shaho was just in a daze for a while, and was a little speechless. In her previous life, she had never seen Haibara have the attribute of being in a daze anytime and anywhere. It is possible that she could tremble anytime and anywhere. Toyama Tobi glanced at Miaya no Shaho, and felt that this organization radar was a bit too metaphysical. What is the principle? The desire for knowledge is the ladder of human progress. Yuan Shenfu is now waiting for Miaya no Shaho to become smaller, so that he can study how the organization's radar works. After recovering from the shock, Miaya no Shaho looked at the time, and then pretended to be calm, and said to Yuan Shenfu, I need to finish the experiment, and I can leave in an hour and a half. Yuan Shenfu nodded. Okay, then see you in the parking lot in an hour and a half. Yuan Shenfu nodded, and simply left Miaya no Shaho's laboratory. An hour and a half later, Miaya no Shaho appeared in the parking lot of Beiju Pharmaceutical on time. When Miaya no Shaho appeared, an outside member immediately helped her open the car door. Miaya no Shaho sat in, and looked at Yuan Shenfu, who was resting with his eyes closed on the other side. I thought you would wait for me at the door of the laboratory. Miaya no Shaho's words did not have any ambiguous meaning. Because in the past, when she went out, the cadres in charge of leading the team would monitor Miaya no Shaho from the door of the laboratory. When she walked out of the laboratory just now, and found that there was no one at the door, she was not a little surprised. Hearing what Miaya no Shaho said, Yuan Shenfei opened his eyes, and looked at her strangely. Why should I wait for you at the door of the laboratory? Aren't you afraid that I will do something on the way from the laboratory to the parking lot? Surely, your idea is very dangerous, but it doesn't matter. Yuan Shenfei looked relaxed. My task is to be responsible for your security when you go out. What do you mean by going out? At least you have to leave the gate of Beiju Pharmaceutical to be called going out. If you really do something during this distance, the responsibility should also be on the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical. If I run to the door of the laboratory and stand there, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Why? Yuan Shenfei patted the seat again and said, in the same way, I won't send you to the laboratory when I send you back. Parents don't send their children to their seats in the class when they go to kindergarten, so why should I take this responsibility? However, I give you a certain degree of trust, not without asking for anything in return. Let's agree in advance that, if you really plan to make trouble, it's best to do it from the parking lot to the laboratory. Don't implicate me. How about the deal? Miaya no Shaho glanced at the two peripheral members who were pretending to be deaf and sweating in the front row of the driver's seat and the co-pilot's seat. She looked at Toyama Tobi, who looked like he didn't care, but just asked him not to bother her, and nodded immediately. Deal. In a blink of an eye, the convoy arrived near Bikacho Tachome and took advantage of the night to abandon the car and walk. Soon they arrived at Bikacho Tachome 21, which is Kudo's house. Seeing this familiar house, Toyama Tobi suddenly realized that this was the second time Miaya no Shaho came to Kudo's house to check. Toyama Tobi couldn't help but look in the direction of Kudo Shinichi's bedroom. I don't know if Conan's childhood clothes are still there. Speaking of which, I only reminded Kudo Yusaku to get Conan a legal identity, but I seem to have forgotten to tell him that Conan's childhood clothes were also flaws. Kudo Yusaku has such a high ceiling in reasoning, so he shouldn't need to remind him of this kind of thing, right? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129. My boss taught me in Hawaii. Arriving at the door of Kudo's house, Miaya no Shaho and Toyama Tobi talked about the content of this mission. APTX 4869. This is a new drug that I'm responsible for developing. Although the drug is not yet perfect, it has been forced into the human trial stage by Jin. When Miaya no Shaho talked about human trials and Jin, there was a flash of disgust in her eyes. Normally speaking, as the main person in charge of drug development, Miaya no Shaho should have the final say on when to start human trials. Who made Jin have more authority in the organization than Miaya no Shaho, a codename Kada. Toyama Tobi casually echoed. Drug A, I've heard of it. It's the organization's newest and most useful poison, with a strong toxicity and invisible killing effect. It's really a must-have for home and travel. I didn't expect that you were the one who developed this drug. I'm so disrespectful. Miyano Shaho ignored Toyama Tobi's ridicule and said to herself, the other people on the list who took Apex 4869 have been confirmed dead. Only Kudo Shinichi's situation is unknown. I have come here to investigate once before, and this is the second time. I see. What do you need me to do? Toyama Tobi nodded and asked Miyano Shaho. It is impossible for the organization to send out so many people at once just to monitor Miyano Shaho. The monitoring mission only requires Toyama Tobi alone, and the rest of the members came to the Kudo residence to search. It is obviously unrealistic to expect Miyano Shaho to search the huge Kudo residence from beginning to end. Naturally, other members of the organization need to cooperate. I need to go in. Miyano Shaho looked at the locked iron door and said speechlessly. She felt that Toyama Tobi asked a nonsense question. She had just been standing here talking for a long time, talking about the mission and the list. Did Toyama Tobi not listen at all? I understand. Leave it to me. Toyama Tobi nodded and took out a wire, then poked at the door of Kudo's house. What are you doing? Toyama Tobi's behavior obviously surprised Miyano Shaho. Before Miyano Shaho finished asking the question, there was a click from the iron door, and the door of Kudo's house slowly opened to everyone. What's wrong? Toyama Tobi put away the wire and turned to ask Miyano Shaho. Nothing. Miyano Shaho shook his head and finally couldn't help asking Toyama Tobi, do you people in the action team still need to learn how to pick locks now? The organization's actions have always been rough. The last time Miyano Shaho came to Kudo's house to investigate, the Kada leading the team asked his men to climb over the wall and open the door for everyone. If Jin was the leader, he should have used a gun to force the door. The smooth and skillful movements of Toyama Tobi once made Miyano Shaho wonder what Toyama Tobi did before joining the organization. Noticing Miyano Shaho's doubts, Toyama Tobi shook his hands with satisfaction. Hawaii 100 Arts is indeed an official plugin for Conan. Although Toyama Tobi had never learned any lockpicking before, this skill was so handy when used. It was as if Toyama Tobi had studied this skill for a long time. My part-time boss taught me in Hawaii. Toyama Tobi can now pat his chest and say this classic line. After saying that, Toyama Tobi took the lead in crossing the courtyard of the Kudo family and opened the main door of the Kudo house again. Miyano Shaho, who was following behind Toyama Tobi, didn't react for a long time. Toyama Tobi actually has a part-time job. His part-time boss also taught him lockpicking in Hawaii! Exclamation mark. Is this this part-time job serious? Toyama Tobi's nonsense was quickly thrown behind Miyano Shaho. After entering the Kudo house, Miyano Shaho immediately found something wrong. It has been almost a month since she last came to the Kudo family to investigate. Normally, a house that has not been occupied for a month should have a lot of dust. But the current Kudo house was clearly cleaned not long ago. Someone has been here. Miyano Shaho frowned slightly and said in a deep voice. Toyama Tobi was not as nervous as Miyano Shaho. He walked to the sofa and relaxed on the sofa. Of course someone has been here. If you occasionally check the intelligence database during the intervals of the experiment, you will see the information I uploaded. Why did the Kudo couple return to Japan in a low-key manner? Kudo Yusaku and Kudo Yukiko returned to Tokyo secretly not long ago. They naturally had to stay at home when they returned to Tokyo. Toyama Tobi's words made Miyano Shaho's eyes more complicated. After staring at Toyama Tobi for a long time, Miyano Shaho said coldly, I don't have the authority to organize the intelligence database. Ah. Toyama Tobi blinked. Although he knew that Miyano Shaho's code name was a lot of water, he didn't expect Shirley to be so watery! Exclamation mark. After all, she is a Kada with a reputation, but she doesn't even have the authority to browse the organization's intelligence database! Exclamation mark. It turns out that Miyano Shaho has no authority at all except for a codename. Yuan Shinfei looked at Miyano Shaho with sympathy and said carefully, then how about you do your best? Miyano Shaho suddenly felt a dull pain in her chest. She was pitied. She was actually pitied by an ordinary member of the organization! Exclamation mark. Although Miyano Shaho is indeed worthy of sympathy, there is an inexplicable sense of sarcasm when these words come out of Yuan Shinfen's mouth. In order to prevent herself from rushing towards the path of breast hyperplasia, Shaho Miyano decisively changed the subject. Okay, let's start the investigation. Many peripheral members in the room subconsciously looked at Toyama Tobi, who rolled his eyes. Didn't you hear what Shirley said? Hurry up and move. What the hell are you all standing here for? The peripheral members scattered, and each found a room to search. Shaho Miyano, who was still standing in the same place, laughed at herself. I didn't expect that my words were not as effective as those of an ordinary member like you. Isn't this as it should be? Why haven't you gotten used to it yet? Toyama Tobi said as a matter of course, without any intention of comforting Shaho Miyano. How fresh. Shirley didn't even have the authority to enter the organization's intelligence library, so she still expected the peripheral members below to obey her. In the organization's territory, either the means are so cruel that everyone is afraid of them, like Jin, or they take the upper route and are favored by the top leaders of the organization, so that people are afraid to act rashly, such as Vermouth. After receiving the reward from Rum's second brother, Toyama Tobi took the path of having both. As for Miyano Shaho, she is another negative example. She has neither of these two. Originally, with Miyano Shaho's own conditions as a genius scientist, it would be very advantageous to take the second path. But who made her live up to her expectations? Toyama Tobi can see that Miyano Shaho is a very entangled person after all. Although she is in the organization, she wants to stay out of the mud, but she does not have the ability and means to match it. So in the end, she can only become a person who pleases neither side. The organization uses her, but also guards against her. Coupled with her love-brain sister, this is why Miyano Shaho is indispensable in the research and development of drug A. Otherwise, with the mysterious operations of her and her sisters, Jin would have opened her mind a long time ago. Chapter 130 Shirley, you don't want your sister to be with you. Kudo Shinichi's bedroom. As the main initiator of this infiltration investigation, Shaho Miyano naturally cannot let others do this most important place. So this bedroom is searched by Shaho Miyano personally. Toyama Tobi has always maintained a position not too far from Shaho Miyano. After all, Jin sent him to keep an eye on Shirley, and Toyama Tobi couldn't leave his post without permission. After Shaho Miyano came all the way to Shinichi Kudo's bedroom, Toyama Tobi secretly kept an eye on Shaho Miyano's every move. After watching Shaho Miyano open Shinichi Kudo's wardrobe and finding that all the clothes that belonged to Shinichi Kudo when he was a child were missing, Shaho Miyano and Toyama Tobi took a breath at the same time. Shaho Miyano was surprised that when she conducted the drug experiment of Aptix 4869 on mice, the experimental mice showed the phenomenon of body dwarfism, combined with the fact that Shinichi Kudo was missing after being drugged by Jin, and now all his clothes as a child are missing. Shaho Miyano came up with an extremely terrifying inference. That is, will Kudo Shinichi also be like the chosen mouse, from a high school student to a child? Unlike Miyano Shaho, Toyama Tobi's surprise is not complicated at all. An internationally renowned mystery novel writer, a world-renowned female movie star. One by one, they are so frugal! Exclamation mark. You even bought Conan 2 new sets of clothes? Good guy. The old clothes are put to new use again after 10 years. It should be said that these clothes bought by Kudo Shinichi when he was a child are really worth it. Surely, is there something wrong? Toyama Tobi saw that Miyano Shaho did not move for a long time, so he reminded her and then walked slowly towards the closet. Miyano Shaho was awakened by Toyama Tobi, and although she was panicked in her heart, she was calm on the surface. After pretending to check the closet, Miyano Shaho closed the door on one side, which just blocked the box containing Kudo Shinichi's childhood clothes. Then he made way and said calmly to Toyama Tobi, "Nothing, I just suddenly thought of a new idea for the experiment." Toyama Tobi nodded and walked to the closet again, took a casual look inside the closet, and helped close another closet door. "Is that so? Then hurry up and finish the investigation and go back." This house has been cleaned by the Kudo couple once, so it may not be easy to find any new clues. Yeah. Miyano Shaho nodded without saying anything more. After a quick check in Kudo Shinichi's bedroom, he left the bedroom and walked downstairs. Toyama Tobi followed Miyano Shaho all the time. Seeing her leave the bedroom, Toyama Tobi naturally followed. After a while, the members of the organization who went to check other rooms in the house returned to the living room. Are there any new discoveries? Toyama Tobi asked them. The members of the organization shook their heads. They had gained something last time, but this time they had no gains at all. The Kudo couple returned to Tokyo secretly, and the new traces of life in the Kudo house covered the original environment. It was normal for the members of the organization to have no gains. Everyone gathered and returned to Beiju Pharmaceutical. After the car stopped, Toyama Tobi signaled Miyano Shaho that she could get off and return to the laboratory. Miyano Shaho opened the car door, and when she stepped out with one foot, she paused. Then she turned halfway to Toyama Tobi and said, although you don't want to send me back to the laboratory, I'm afraid you still have to go with me. The organization's drug list, if you want to change the status of a member on the drug list, at least 2 members need to sign. Toyama Tobi nodded and followed Miyano Shaho back to the laboratory. Then Miyano Shaho found a list of human experiment members who voluntarily took drug A on these lists full of names. Only Kudo Shinichi's status was unknown. Miyano Shaho thought about it, and with a big stroke of the pen, changed Kudo Shinichi's status to death, signed her own code name, and looked at Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi picked up the pen, but did not sign. The hand holding the pen pressed the list on the table, and looked straight at Miyano Shaho. What's wrong? Miyano Shaho's cold voice did not change at all, but the tension in her eyes could not escape Toyama Tobi's eyes. Toyama Tobi asked softly, compared with the last investigation, are there any special findings this time? Miyano Shaho's heart skipped a beat, and she pretended to be calm, and asked Toyama Tobi, didn't you see the whole process and results of the investigation? There was nothing special. Toyama Tobi nodded and asked again, then why did you change Kudo Shinichi's living conditions? What do you mean? Miyano Shaho's tone was slightly dissatisfied, and Toyama Tobi was afraid that her next sentence would be, so you think I was wrong, which is a standard opening statement. Fortunately, Shaho Miyano didn't say much, so Toyama Tobi could continue to talk along his own lines. Since there is no special discovery in this investigation that can prove that Kudo Shinichi is dead, then why change Kudo Shinichi's living status? Anyone who takes Aptix 4869 will die. Although Kudo Shinichi's body has not been found, there has been no news about him for a month. Can't it be disproved that the target is dead? Toyama Tobi nodded and then shook his head. What you said makes sense. This is a logical reasoning. But you are not a detective, and this list is not the investigation report you are going to hand over to the client. This list is intended to be handed over to the organization, which means that once you sign your name on it, you will be responsible for it. Although these 2 investigations have failed to prove that Kudo Shinichi is still alive, they also have no way to prove that he is dead, right? After all, if he is alive, you have to see the person, and if he is dead, you have to see the body. This is the most basic principle. Toyama Tobi pulled over a chair and sat on it, looking directly at Shaho Miyano and asked, have you ever thought about what to do if there is even a 1 in 10,000 chance that Kudo Shinichi is not dead? You have changed Kudo Shinichi's living status now. What if he is not dead and is discovered by other members of the organization? As far as I know, Kudo Shinichi is not a person who knows how to keep a low profile. How will you face the organization's accountability then? Miyano Shaho remained silent. She was not using silence to fight against Toyama Tobi, but she really didn't know how to deal with the organization's accountability. For cadres with high trust and loyalty in the organization, facing such things, the worst that can happen is that they will be reprimanded by Gin or Rum. At most, they will be labeled as incompetent, and there will be no other punishment. After all, the organization cannot kill a cadre that has been trained with great effort because of a failed mission. But Shirley is different. Shirley's attitude itself has been criticized by the top leaders of the organization. If such a mistake occurs, it will probably be attributed to the attitude problem. helping a detective who should have died at the hands of Gin to conceal his living status. Are you, Shirley, going to betray the organization? Seeing that Miya no Shaho had listened to him, Toyama Tobi said, I have said something similar to your sister once. It doesn't hurt to say it to you again now. You two sisters are in a delicate situation in the organization, so think twice before you act, and don't cause trouble for your sister. After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he picked up a pen and signed his name on the list, then crossed out the word death written by Miya no Shaho and changed it to two powerful big characters unknown. Chapter 131. Are you using this to test the carders? That's it. Think about what I said. Toyama Tobi put down his pen, stood up and walked out of the laboratory and went downstairs. The reason why Toyama Tobi didn't let Miya no Shaho change the information on the list was very simple. Because this list is basically useless. No one who should know that Kudo Shinichi is alive has been affected by this list. And Jin himself doesn't care much about the information on this list. Only Miya no Shaho, a scientist who is not familiar with the world, would really think that this list is useful. After coming downstairs to signal the peripheral members who are still waiting for him to do what they should do, he walked to the corner and called Jin. Brother Jin, I'm back to Beiju Pharmaceutical. Shirley has been safely sent to the laboratory. It's natural to call Jin first with the elder brother, so that the elder brother can see our unchanged position. Shirley didn't do anything tricky. Jin's answer is quite in line with his personality. Brother Jin, who was persecuted by the undercover in the organization, wanted to doubt everyone he saw, especially dangerous element like Shirley, who were the key scanning targets of the elder brother's undercover and traitor radar. It's just a normal outing investigation mission, but the target of the mission. Toyama Tobi didn't say whether Shirley was doing something tricky, but mentioned another thing. What's wrong with the target of the mission? Brother, do you still remember Kudo Shinichi who you killed with APTX 4869 in Dorobiga Paradise? I don't remember. I never waste my memory to remember a dead person. Jin's answer was as expected by Toyama Tobi. It's like this. The current status of Kudo Shinichi has always been unknown, and his body has never been found. Toyama Tobi hesitated, and the highlight was that he was thinking about his big brother. After hearing what Toyama Tobi said, Jin didn't take it seriously. Don't worry, no one who took APTX 4869 has been spared. Maybe the body of Kudo Shinichi was taken away by someone. It's just that the body was not found. Jin is not a staff member of the funeral home or morgue, and he has no obligation to find the body. What's more, since he forced the human experiment, a drug has never failed. Jin even believes in the efficacy of a drug more than Miya no Shaho himself. In that case, I'm relieved. I've sent Shirley back. I'll leave first. Well, you should keep an eye on Shirley in the future. If she wants to go out, you must be there. Jin simply handed Shirley to Toyama Tobi for care. In this way, Brother Jin can squeeze out a lot of time to work overtime to complete tasks. In order to pay himself on time, Brother Jin actually worked overtime so hard. I'm crying. Toyama Tobi looked back at the office building of Beiju Pharmaceutical. It seems that they will have more dealings in the future. Behind the laboratory curtains, Miya no Shaho watched Toyama Tobi leave the door of Beiju Pharmaceutical and then walk out from behind the curtains. She stood in front of the window for a while, then turned back to the laboratory and sat in front of a computer. Although Miya no Shaho did not have the authority to enter the organization's intelligence database, she could get the information she wanted through the internet. As a public figure, it is not difficult to find news about Kudo Shinichi. It can be said that Kudo Shinichi has been living under the spotlight since his debut, and there are a lot of reports about him. After reading the relevant reports about Kudo Shinichi, Miya no Shaho had only one thought, that is, fear. Because she found that what Toyama Tobi said was actually right. With Kudo Shinichi's personality, if he is not dead, he might jump out one day and make a big fuss. At that time, she, the initiator who led the change of Kudo Shinichi's living status, will really have trouble explaining herself. Just like Miya no Akima's dangerous behavior will implicate her, if Miya no Shaho is suspected by the organization, it will definitely make her sister's life more difficult. Toyama Tobi's last kind reminder made Miya no Shaho look complicated. Her sister was right. Mr. Toyama was probably a rare good man in the organization. The good people in the Miyano sisters' mouths are definitely not good people in the conventional sense. In the organization, which is a place where bad things are compared. As long as they are not so bad, they are simply a unique one and stand out from the crowd. The list of drug A test subjects was put where it should be, and Miyano Shaho did not change the places that Toyama Tobi had changed. In this dark future that can be seen at a glance, Miyano Shaho started her experiment again. This is how she got through it in the past, so even if it is like this in the future, it is not something difficult to accept. Isn't it? Tokyo. Bikacho. Takashima Coffee House. Toyama Tobi looked at Sato and Takagi who were sitting opposite him, and generously asked him to order whatever he wanted, and fell into deep thought. As the saying goes, if someone is too attentive to others for no reason, he is either an adulterer or a thief. This adulterous couple. No, it is this Metropolitan Police Department CP who actually skipped work during working hours, and invited him to the coffee shop, to spend as he pleases. Toyama Tobi always felt that these two people seemed to be up to something bad. Yuan Shinfei put the menu on the table and said helplessly to the two people sitting opposite, I said that this is not the first time we have dealt with each other. If you have anything to say, just tell me, okay? If you do this, I'm really afraid that you two are going to bite my kidney while I'm eating. Gaomu was thin-skinned after all, and his old face turned red, and he waved his hands repeatedly. How could it be? I just want to thank you for your help to me all the time. Facing Gaomu who was looking at him, Yuan Shinfei sighed melancholy. The honest Gaomu was not honest now. What is wrong with this world? Yuan Shinfei cast his eyes on Sato again. Officer Gaomu is here to thank me for helping him. What about you, Officer Sato? Sato Miwako had a subtle expression, blinked her big eyes again and again, and then said, I'm here to thank you for helping Gaomu too. Huh. Yuan Shinfei was speechless immediately. Officer Sato was just lying with his eyes open. 2 days ago, when Gaomu was drinking with him, he complained that Officer Sato was like a workaholic. There was nothing else in his eyes except work. How come Sato is in a position to thank Takagi for him 2 days later? Stop messing around. Let's talk about something serious. If you keep being so frivolous, I'll leave, right? There are still a lot of business waiting for me to deal with at the Maori Detective Agency. Toyama Tobi pretended to leave, but was pulled back by Sato and Takagi. After a battle of glances, Takagi finally lost to Sato, and could only tell Toyama the whole story with a bitter face. It turned out that there were several serial murders in Bihua town recently, and the victims were strangled by thin ropes such as steel wire, and then disguised as hanging suicide scenes. There were very few clues left at the scene, and the police judged that it should be done by professionals. It happened that this case was in the charge of Sato and Takagi, and the two had no clue for a while, and then Sato thought of Toyama Tobi's good luck. Because Toyama Tobi always accidentally encounters this kind of dangerous target, the two of them are ready to wait for the rabbit. This is the only way. Of course, doing this will always imply that Toyama Tobi is a troublemaker, so Sato and Takagi discussed and decided to bribe Toyama Tobi to shut him up. After listening to Takagi's explanation, Toyama Tobi looked at the menu in his hand, which showed either coffee or cake, or fast food such as sandwiches and pasta. Finally, he looked up at the two people opposite him in confusion. Aren't you using this to test the carders? Which carder can't stand such a test? You don't even give me a fruit plate when I ask someone to do something for you. How can I agree to it when I'm slightly drunk without a fruit plate? Exclamation mark. Huh. Exclamation mark. Chapter 132. My child, on the day you were born, your name was whispered in the murder scene of Bika Town. I said that this is how you ask for help. You are really sincere. Toyama Tobi looked at the two with contempt. He is not Conan's beige death god, who dies wherever he goes. How could such a coincidence happen? But then again, there are professionals in Tokyo who specialize in killing people with thin ropes such as steel wire, and then disguise them as hanging scenes. Could this killer be related to the organization? Toyama Tobi is not overthinking. In fact, most of the killers on the market in Tokyo are from the organization. Such a method of committing crimes full of bad taste looks very organized. Faced with Toyama Tobi's ridicule, Sato smiled awkwardly and was about to say something to interrupt, but suddenly froze. I say, Officer Sato, you are not trying to tell me that you saw an acquaintance behind me, right? Toyama Tobi squinted his half-moon eyes and couldn't believe that Sato would be so naive. He was not fooled by this low-level diversionary tactic when he was in elementary school. How do you know? Toyama, look at how beautiful Xiaolin is dressed today. Sato's eyes were shining, and that lecherous expression scared Takagi enough. Xiaolin? It's not like I don't know Xiaolin. How beautiful can she be? Hearing this, Toyama Tobi turned his head and looked behind him, and then he was stunned. What Officer Sato said was right. Xiaolin was really beautiful at this moment. Today, Xiaolin was wearing a blue dress with a dark blue women's suit jacket. Under the skirt, two long legs that had been trained for a long time were exposed, tight and slender. There was an exquisite necklace on her neck, and even the unicorn that originally looked unruly was carefully groomed today. This made Mayoli Ran's hairstyle look more like Kudo Shizuka at the peak of her beauty. Even Toyama Tobi had to admit that he had never seen Mayoli Ran like this. Sure enough, once the beautiful girls in the second dimension enter the real world, they are really beautiful. It's really a bargain for that stinky boy Kudo Shinichi. At this moment, Toyama Tobi and Maori Kagoro's thoughts suddenly coincided. Of course, Toyama Tobi felt happy about the misfortune. Such a beautiful childhood sweetheart can only be admired from afar and not played with. Conan really deserved it. The carefully dressed Maori Ran appeared in front of Toyama Tobi and the other two, and gossipy lights appeared in their eyes at the same time. Sato was the first to withdraw his gaze and lowered his body to ask secretly, Ran is dressed so beautifully today. Is she here for a date? Then, Takagi lowered his body. I heard that Xiaolin and Kudo have a special relationship. Could it be that Xiaolin is here to see Kudo? Then, Toyama Tobi was influenced by Sato and Takagi and also exchanged information carefully with the attitude of a thief. It's impossible. When I was in the office, I didn't hear that Xiaolin was going to meet Kudo. Maybe Xiaolin's date is someone else? Toyama Tobi knew that Maori Ran could date anyone, but it was impossible for her to date Kudo Shinichi. At this moment, Kudo is still a little brat, chasing after Xiaolin and calling her sister Xiaolin all day long, but then again, Toyama Tobi suddenly thought that Xiaolin was dressed so beautifully today, and it was obvious that she was on a date with someone. Then there was no reason why the East Asian jealous king who was good at being jealous in Xiaolin's family, Edogawa Conan, who was retrained as a primary school student, was not here. Thinking of this, Toyama Tobi slowly poked his head out, and sure enough, he found a primary school student with a face full of dissatisfaction and the word jealous written on his face next to Xiaolin's seat. Right. This is the right plot. Just this combination plus the subtle location of the coffee shop made Toyama Tobi's expression brighten. He seemed to remember what happened this time. Isn't this the second part of the trilogy of the large-scale TV series? Where is Mom in Beaker Town? Where is the mother-in-law? Thinking of this, Toyama Tobi couldn't help but laugh secretly. Conan's performance in this episode in the original work was a disaster. Except for the last reasoning, his brain was completely filled with all kinds of jealousy for the rest of the time. Toyama Tobi still remembers that when he watched this episode in his previous life, Xiaolin clearly said, she and Shinichi can't be compared at all. This means that the person Xiaolin met today is a woman. In Japanese, her and his pronunciation are different, so such a mistake should not happen at all. As a result, Conan pretended not to hear this sentence and focused on investigating the man in the coffee shop. Compared with this outrageous operation, not recognizing his mother-in-law later is nothing at all. After all, even if it was Kudo Yukiko in person, Conan didn't recognize her, right? The first part of Where Is Mom is where stepmother Yukiko is, and the second part is where mother-in-law Kisakieri is. The biological mother Vermouth, that will be released in a while, is all starring blind Conan. Conan's main theme is that he doesn't recognize his mother when he meets her and strives to be a filial son. When Toyama Tobi came to his senses, Maolilin had already left the coffee shop and went to the cake shop opposite. He tried to use a piece of cake to make Conan give up the idea of making trouble. What a joke. Can the jealous king of East Asia be dismissed with a piece of cake? Conan, sitting in his seat, looked at the lonely men in the coffee shop with great enthusiasm, trying to find out Xiaolan's date. Just when he found a pretty boy who looked like a scumbag and was talking on the phone, Conan's shoulder was suddenly patted. Conan was startled, and then he saw Toyama Tobi standing in front of him with a mysterious smile on his face. You. Seeing Toyama Tobi, Conan suddenly stuttered. He suddenly thought of a very scary possibility. Xiaolan dressed so beautifully today, couldn't she be here to date Toyama Tobi? Seeing such a panicked Conan, Toyama Tobi immediately became playful. He frowned slightly and asked Conan, why are you here too? Where is Xiaolan? Didn't she come with you? It's you. Conan was shocked and angry, and immediately wanted to jump up and hit Toyama Tobi's knee. But when he thought about the sinister nature of Toyama Tobi, he thought that he might hit Toyama Tobi's knee, and then Toyama Tobi would run to Xiaolan to complain. For a moment, the extremely realistic picture made Conan speechless for a long time. Seeing that Conan's head was getting bigger because of anger, Toyama Tobi couldn't help but add fuel to the fire. Toyama Tobi said to Conan in a sarcastic tone, Xiaolan really dotes on you. I didn't expect that she would take you with her wherever she goes. Toyama Tobi's sarcastic tone undoubtedly touched Conan's lungs. Was Xiaolan willing to take him with her? Exclamation mark. It was clearly Conan who followed her as a child. Chapter 133. It's not impossible to date Yuanshan? Exclamation mark. Wait, as a child. A flash of lightning flashed across Conan's dark brain again. At this moment, Conan's mind was unusually clear. Since he could force himself to stay with Xiaolan as a child, it meant that he could also use the identity of a child to interfere in the date between Toyama Tobi and Xiaolan. At this moment, Conan decided to transform into that ignorant brother-in-law and use all the skills he learned in Hawaii to ruin this date. Wait for Toyama Tobi. Today I will let you know why I'm the Sherlock Holmes of the Heisei era. Looking at Conan, who suddenly lit up in front of him, Toyama Tobi almost laughed out loud. Just at this time, the voice of the pretty boy at the next table talking on the phone reached the ears of the two. I'm Prince Yuo. It turns out to be Liangnan. I'm going to date a girl soon. Please don't make trouble. The pretty boy spoke loudly on the phone with a smug expression on his face. Conan heard a few traces of suspicion on his face. Why does he feel that this pretty boy also looks like Xiaolan's date? But Xiaolan can't possibly date two people at the same time. Just as Conan was listening to the pretty boy at the next table talking on the phone, Toyama Tobi quietly took out a recorder and handed it over. What is this? Conan looked at Toyama Tobi in confusion. SHHH. Toyama Tobi made a gesture to silence and then signaled Conan to start the recording function. Although Conan still couldn't figure out what Toyama Tobi wanted to do, based on the principle of killing the wrong person, rather than letting him go, Conan quietly started the recorder. Then the pretty boy behind him continued to talk on the phone. Yes, it's the girl I met at the TV station last time. She looks pretty good. It's rare to see such a simple girl now, and women are animals. As long as you say a few nice words to her, you will be able to catch her easily. The pretty boy laughed triumphantly, not to mention that Toyama Tobi happened to see the pretty boy's expression at this moment. To be honest, this pretty boy and Sonoko really look like a couple. Just look at this tongue. The action director must be Maurika Goro, and he must have personally instructed it to be so exactly the same. Not long ago, the TV station? Exclamation mark. Conan identified the person. They happened to have been to the TV station not long ago. As for the innocent girl, mentioned by the pretty boy, she can completely match Xiaolan. Conan is now in a state of confusion. Intuitively, he still thinks that Toyama Tobi is Xiaolan's date target this time. But rationally, the pretty boy's remarks have increased his suspicion infinitely. If Xiaolan must date one of these two people, Conan thinks Toyama Tobi seems to be a good choice. Conan suddenly slapped him hard in the face. Damn Kudo Shinichi, what are you thinking about? How can you accept Xiaolan dating another man? Oh, isn't this Mr. Toyama? I didn't expect to meet him here. Kisakieri, who had just come out of the bathroom, unexpectedly saw Toyama Tobi standing next to Conan, so she came forward to say hello. When Eri Kisaki came to the coffee shop just now, Toyama Tobi was gossiping with Sato and Takagi. Erikisuke did not see the 3 people who were hiding. As for Conan, Conan noticed Erikisuke's presence, but after leaving a comment about the beauty, he began to pay attention to the men in the coffee shop. Lawyer Kisuke, we meet again. Toyama Tobi was not surprised at the appearance of Erikisuke, and he was very mean, and did not call Erikisuke Mrs. Mori. Sure enough, when Toyama Tobi mentioned Lawyer Kisuke, Conan still did not react. Toyama Tobi took the opportunity to sit opposite Erikisuke, and the two began to have a pleasant conversation. Yes, that's it. Toyama Tobi's actions made Conan very excited. As long as Toyama Tobi indulges in the beauty of this beauty, Xiaolin will catch him off guard when he suddenly comes back. Now 2 high threat targets are gone, and the next one is the pretty boy. Conan held the pretty boy next to him with a stern face, and the pretty boy who had adjusted his hair just got up and prepared to go to the bathroom. Then Toyama Tobi couldn't imagine why such a sharp high-pitched sound would come out of a man's mouth. Conan reacted quickly and rushed to the bathroom immediately. Following Conan was Toyama Juzan, who had entered the bathroom before the pretty boy. Of course, there were 2 people in the coffee shop who were faster than Conan. Sato and Takagi rushed into the bathroom as soon as they heard the screams from the bathroom, and then saw a lot of blood flowing from under the toilet cubicle. Takagi quickly jumped to the cubicle and then found a woman covered in blood behind the toilet door. Officer Sato, call an ambulance. Takagi hurriedly shouted to Sato and then looked at Toyama Tobi, who followed the others into the bathroom. Toyama, please come and help. Toyama Tobi nodded. He found that Takagi had changed a lot since he received special training from Kyogoku Makoto. Not only did his strength change, but he became more confident. In the original work, Takagi would never make such a decisive move on the spot. With the assistance of Toyama Tobi, Takagi and he took down the door of the toilet, and then Takagi went to check on the victim as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Takagi shook his head regretfully and confirmed that the victim had completely lost his pulse. Damn it, he actually committed such a crime so rampantly in front of 2 detectives. Takagi gritted his teeth, wishing he could find the criminal on the spot and give him a set of Kyogoku style combos. After helping Takagi remove the wooden door of the toilet cubicle, Toyama Tobi retreated into the crowd and had no intention of getting involved in the police investigation. Facing Conan's suspicious eyes, Toyama Tobi shook his head innocently. What does Conan think of himself? It's true that he is a member of the organization, but he is not a lunatic, okay? The organization's killing is based on the principle of not getting up early without profit. There is no benefit in killing this woman. Who in the organization would be so merciless and enjoy killing? Except for Chianti, this woman is really crazy. Coincidentally, Chianti also thought the same of Toyama Tobi. As for the murderer of the case, Toyama Tobi didn't even need to open his eyes to investigate the case, except for the little white face who was the first to discover the scene. Among the others who went to the bathroom, the most suspicious one was a little white face who stayed in the bathroom for a long time. The bathroom of this coffee shop is shared by men and women, with a total of 3 cubicles, one of which is the tool room of the bathroom. The other 2 are toilets. The victim was the first to enter the bathroom, and the remaining toilet was used by others in turn. Sato and Takagi checked the victim's wound, and then made a judgment. Judging from the victim's wound, the amount of bleeding would be very large. Because the victim's back was against the door of the cubicle when he died, the blood flowing from the wound would quickly spread outside the cubicle. The first few people who entered the bathroom did not find any blood on the ground, and the little white face screamed almost as soon as he entered the bathroom. So it seems that the most suspicious person is the strong physique of Toyama 13, who is a coach of the university football team. Chapter 134, Mahua's murderer likes to play something difficult. 13 Toyama, we are detectives from the 1st Investigation Division of the Metropolitan Police Department. We would like to conduct an inspection on you. Please cooperate. Takagi and Sato immediately walked up to 13 Toyama, showed him their IDs, and asked for a body search. 13 Toyama probably didn't expect that there would be 2 detectives in this small coffee shop. What kind of luck is this? Juzan Toyama instinctively didn't want to cooperate with the police. Although he was the coach of the rugby club, he could hear a strong boxer's flavor as soon as he opened his mouth. You suspect I'm the murderer? There are so many people who have been to the bathroom. Why did you only check me? According to the Police Officers Duties Execution Act, the police have the right to interrogate people who look suspicious, based on their own judgment, and conduct possession inspections after obtaining consent. What's more, this is the crime scene, and you, Mr. Toyama, are still a major suspect in this case. If you refuse, I think the two detectives have the right to ask you to go back to the Metropolitan Police Department with them to assist in the investigation. I personally don't recommend you to do this, because doing so will not only increase your suspicion, but also have no benefit to your reputation. Before Sato and Takagi could explain to Juzen Toyama, Eri Kisuke had already blocked Juzen Toyama's retreat from another aspect. Juzen Toyama is a coach of a university rugby club. Any university that values its reputation will not continue to employ an employee who is a major suspect in a murder case and is taken back to the police station for investigation by the police. If Toyama Juzen really didn't kill anyone, then the best solution is to clear himself of suspicion on the spot. Who do you think you are? Why should I listen to what you say? Toyama Juzen glared at Kisuke Eri. In his opinion, as long as he was a little tougher, those soft Tokyo police would definitely not dare to forcibly search him. Now Kisuke Eri's professional sounding remarks made Toyama Juzen the one who was not right. If he wanted to continue to be tough, he had to find another breakthrough. Kisuke Eri was the new breakthrough that Toyama Juzen was looking for. Not everyone could make a reasonable statement on the spot. If you want others to believe you, you need at least a professional identity, or a prosecutor, or a related legal practitioner. For example, my name is Kisuke Eri, and I'm a lawyer. This is my business card. Kisuke Eri handed over a business card, which Toyama Juzen took subconsciously and continued. I think with my profession and professional qualities, I'm still qualified to say this, right? Mr. Toyama. TMD, I hit a wall. Toyama Juzen clenched the business card in his hand into a ball with an ugly face. With a grim look on his face, he said to Takagi and Sato, "Humph. Search if you want. If you can't find anything, you must give me an explanation first." The personal belongings of Toyama Juzen were taken out one by one, and Sato was responsible for checking Toyama Juzen's personal belongings. After the things on his body were taken out, Takagi prepared to take Toyama Juzen into the bathroom for a body search. Just as Takagi was taking Toyama Juzen to the bathroom, Toyama Tobi lightly reminded in the crowd, "Officer Takagi, remember to check the bandage of that gentleman. I remember that when he came, the bandage was tied on his ring finger." Takagi didn't react for a while after hearing this, but Toyama Juzen had already revealed his murderous look. He knew too well what Toyama Tobi meant. The bandage on his finger was an important prop in this murder plan. He first used the bandage to strangle the victim, and then tied the bandage to the dagger. Finally, the body was thrown into the locked toilet cubicle. The bandage tied to the dagger was inevitably stained with blood splashed from the body. This thing didn't even need to be checked. It was exposed at a glance. As expected, Hibiki Eri was the undefeated queen in the court. When she heard what Toyama Tobi said, she immediately reacted and taunted Toyama Juzen. "If that's the case, even I can't win this case." Toyama Juzen, who was extremely angry, did the most irrational thing at the moment. If the main force of the search section hadn't arrived yet, he might have been able to successfully escape from the coffee shop if he just rushed to the door. But unfortunately, the word calm and composed was destined to be out of his reach. Toyama Juzen, who was overwhelmed by anger, chose Toyama Tobi, who had the highest hatred value, and rushed to him. He had been training and practicing with the rugby team for many years, and he rushed like a human tank. The crowd around Toyama Tobi dispersed, leaving Toyama Tobi alone, and then Toyama Juzen couldn't help but punch Toyama Tobi's left eye. TSK. Yuan Shinfei originally thought that the fact that the enemy would involuntarily attack the Left Eye and Rum's second brother, One-Eyed Detective, was a negative buff. But now it seems that this is definitely another kind of buff. Facing the seemingly aggressive, but actually full of flaws, Yuan Shinfei staggered and then hit Yuan Shinshizen's jaw. After knocking him stiff, he locked Yuan Shinshizen and then exerted force with his waist and horse. The strong Yuan Shinshizen was thrown out and hit into the air. Facing the floating enemy, Gaomyu, who had been receiving special training from Heihu's kicking prince, subconsciously followed the combo. The tight continuous whip kick made Yuan Shinshizen's eyes go straight with stars, but thanks to his rugby training, his excellent ability to resist blows still allowed Yuan Shinshizen to remain awake to a certain extent. He did not faint. Yuan Shinshizen fell in front of Kisaki, and in a trance, saw Kisaki's face, who had the second highest hatred value, and immediately showed a ferocious expression. Kisaki smiled slightly, then lifted up one of Toyama Juzen's arms, and used the Mori family's ancestral shoulder throw. The ill-fated rugby coach finally fainted after Kisaki's finishing blow. Sato, who was eager to try, and rubbed his hands, sighed. Alas, the current murderer still lacks practice. Can't stand it after just 2 hits. Practice more if you are not good at it. Good beautiful shoulder throw. Conan, who was standing by, was stunned. He always knew that Toyama Tobi could beat him, and he had seen Takagi beat him not long ago. But this lawyer auntie was so skillful, which Conan never expected. And she always felt that the lawyer auntie's shoulder throw just now was unusually familiar, as if she had seen it somewhere before. Conan soon stopped worrying about this little doubt, because the sirens were loud. In addition to the detectives of the first investigation department, Xiaolan, who went out to buy cakes, finally returned to the cafe. Next, it's time for my Conan show. Chapter 135, Princess Yuanshin, is this old lady your girlfriend? Although Conan had no clues on this case, it didn't matter. Conan's mind was not on the case anyway. The detectives of the investigation division 1 skillfully put the pile of Toyama Juzen on the ground into the police car. Judging from the detectives' many years of professional experience, a murderer who was knocked unconscious by someone doing something righteous does not need to be sent to the hospital. It won't take long for the murderer to wake up by himself when he is taken back for interrogation. On the other side, Ran Maoli, who was carrying a cake, was very surprised to see Kisaki standing next to Toyama Tobi, and happily ran towards her mother. Xiaolan, who only had Kisaki in her eyes, even ignored Toyama Tobi and Conan on the side. Xiaolan heard outside the coffee shop that a murder had occurred in the store, and the victim was a woman, and she immediately became worried. Fortunately, her mother was safe and sound, and Xiaolan's mood was so excited that she couldn't help but feel a little arrogant. Xiaolan's arrogance was equally directed at Toyama Tobi, Edogawa Conan and all other outsiders. But such behavior was a bit different in Conan's eyes. You don't even look at me. You ran towards Toyama Tobi excitedly without even looking at me. If there needs to be a background music at this time, I think Elijah and Mei should be very consistent with Conan's current mood. Fortunately, Conan is no longer the Conan of the past. He has evolved. As a new age high school detective who is indomitable and more courageous, how could Conan be devastated by such a blow? On the contrary, Conan is ready to give Toyama Tobi a hard blow. When Xiaolan ran to Toyama Tobi and Kisaki, she didn't even have time to say hello to her mother. Conan's long voice came from the side. "Lol Toyama Jej, is this old lady your girlfriend?" As soon as Conan finished speaking, Toyama Tobi looked at Conan in shock. "Good boy. You are really worthy of it." Kisaki and Maulalan, who were directly backstabbed with a sentence, had no effect on Toyama Tobi. It's not like there's no impact. Toyama Tobi is not really on a date with Maoli Ran. But Conan's forced words of Obasan made the beautiful woman Kisaki face darken. Kudo Yukiko didn't want Conan to call her aunt, but asked him to call her sister. Could it be that Kisaki, who is the same age, can accept the title of Obasan? Kisaki's dark face instinctively made Conan feel the pressure from deep in his heart. Conan's hair stood up, and the whole person immediately turned into a rice flour Spider-Man. No. There's danger. Why can I feel the anger of this lawyer so clearly? Exclamation mark. On the other side, Xiaolan's face also turned red, which had nothing to do with the girl's shyness. She was just simply angry because of Conan's words. Well, Conan, I worked hard at home to feed you, and this is how you repay me. Xiaolan was still thinking about how to make her parents reconcile, but what was the result? Exclamation mark. Conan's words found a new boyfriend for her mother. She didn't want to call Toyama Tobi uncle, but now she has to call him father. Toyama Tobi saw that the time was almost right, so he stepped out to block Conan's last retreat and introduced everyone. Let me introduce you, Mrs. Mori. This boy is Edagora Conan, who is staying at the office. Conan, this is the wife of Mr. Mori, the undefeated lawyer in the legal world, Eri Kisaki. Of course, strictly speaking, according to the official title, it should be Ms. Eri Mori. Mrs. Mori, did you make an appointment with Xiaolin here today? Conan heard the second question asked by Toyama Tobi before he could get rid of the painful memory of Eri Kisaki left him when he was a child. As soon as this question came out, Conan's eyes went straight. That's right. I had made an appointment with Xiaolin to have a good chat. I didn't expect that Xiaolin really liked this child and brought him here. As she said this, Kisaki stared at Conan with her eyes fixed on him. But Xiaolin, you have to educate this child well in the future. It's not okay to be so rude, I know, Mom. Maori Ran's eyes were blazing with anger. Kisaki was usually very busy with work. Even if she came to meet her daughter this time, she didn't forget to bring some work that could be handled outside. As a result, the mother-daughter meeting was messed up by Conan. It seems that she really spoiled Conan too much. Xiaolin suddenly felt that Maori Kagoro's previous way of educating Conan was still very effective. It's just that Dad's work has suddenly increased recently, and he has neglected to discipline Conan. Mom is right. Xiaolin made up her mind that when she returns, she will take over Maori Kagoro's baton and take on the responsibility of educating Conan. Seeing that Kisaki and her daughter looked at him with a strong sense of unkindness, Conan realized what he had just said. Immediately, he looked at Toyama Tobi with grief and anger. Asshole, you tricked me. Toyama Tobi found that Conan was still unconvinced and resentful, so he immediately came up with a plan and immediately adjusted the power of Takaji's good-natured character to the highest level. Then he looked like a peacemaker. Oh, Mrs. Maori, not that Conan is still a child. It's not that serious. Speaking of which, Mrs. Maori, you finally got to meet Xiaolin today. How about having dinner together in the evening? I just happen to have a voucher for a boutique supermarket here. You can also let Conan feel your cooking skills. Toyama Tobi said as he stuffed the voucher into the hands of the rather tempted Kisaki Eri, and added considerately, the voucher is about to expire. If you don't use it today, it will be a waste. We have a relationship. Mrs. Maori, you're welcome. That's really. Thank you so much, Toyama. Kisaki Eri couldn't resist Toyama Tobi's temptation and decided to show off her skills to her daughter in the evening and bring that impolite kid along. In her excitement, Hibiki Eri didn't notice her daughter, whose face turned pale, and Conan, who was trembling and almost wanted to leave first. Hibiki Eri's mind was full of thoughts at the moment. She hadn't cooked for a long time, and she didn't know if she could make delicious food like before. Conan's thoughts were much simpler. He looked at Toyama Tobi in horror. I didn't expect that Toyama Tobi's killer move was waiting for him here! Exclamation mark. I just wanted to ruin your date, but you wanted to kill me. Conan was determined to save himself. Well, I have an appointment with my classmates to do homework together, so I'll leave first. Conan was about to slip away, but was grabbed by Mao Lilin. How could it be? Conan, you clearly said that you would follow me all day. You can't sneak away now. Xiaolin's face was pale, but she still showed a sick smile. Since her mother's food can't escape by herself, then Conan, the culprit, must not be able to leave. At this time, Kisaki Eri clapped her hands and said, by the way, in that case, Toyama, you might as well come with us to my apartment. You've helped Kagoro so much, and I haven't had a chance to thank you yet. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Yuanshin. Do you have some misunderstandings about the cadres of the organization? Toyama Tobi righteously dispelled Kisaki Eri's proposal of repaying kindness with enmity. He said that he came here today with Officer Sato and Officer Takaji, and that he had other things to do later. He was not lucky enough to enjoy this meal that sounded delicious, but he could ask Conan to eat more for him. Conan? Sato and Takagi skipped work to invite Toyama Tobi to have coffee. Although there was no progress in the case on their hands, catching an extra murderer was an unexpected gain. Toyama Tobi drove his car skillfully among the team of police cars, and then successfully arrived at the parking lot of the Metropolitan Police Department building. When other people needed ID and police officers to pick them up in person to enter the Metropolitan Police Department, Toyama Tobi already had his own fixed parking space in the parking lot of the Metropolitan Police Department building. His relationship with the police force is evident. After Takagi finished taking his statement, Toyama Tobi said to Sato and Takagi, who came to see him off, "I haven't heard of the killer you are talking about yet, but I can go and find out for you. Maybe I can find out some useful information." Sato and Takagi knew that Toyama Tobi had not been in Tokyo for a long time, but they also knew Toyama Tobi's ability to make friends. Just look at Toyama Tobi's popularity in the Metropolitan Police Department. It is not an exaggeration to say that he has friends all over the world. Although Toyama Tobi and Sato both have the characteristics of flower of the Metropolitan Police Department, this thing has completely different effects when used by men and women. Sato Miwako's characteristics of flower of the Metropolitan Police Department can only make most male police officers in the Metropolitan Police Department admire her and passively gain good popularity. But Toyama Tobi is different. He can take the initiative. Toyama Tobi can drag male police officers from the Metropolitan Police Department to go out for drinks, sing K, and eat fruit plates after get off work. Which of these can Sato do? So if Sato Miwako is the white moonlight of the entire Metropolitan Police Department's male police officers, then Toyama Tobi is the brother who sleeps on their upper bunk. White moonlight is beautiful, but the real down-to-earth ones are good brothers who are father and son. Not to mention the rumor that Toyama Tobi originally had a humanoid merit generator in the Metropolitan Police Department, and now that he has been enhanced by Rum's second brother, rumor spreader, Trey, it is even more outrageous. A living Tang monk meet in the Metropolitan Police Department. Many police officers who don't know Toyama Tobi don't say come up to share a bite, come and smell it to see if there is the fragrant aroma in the room. As then, the unsolvable positive cycle began. Then I'll leave it to you. Sato and Takagi nodded to Toyama Tobi gratefully. They will still investigate the killer in their own way, but with the help of Toyama Tobi, it is also an additional direction. Yuan Shinfei had no obligation to help them investigate the case. To put it bluntly, what could Yuan Shinfei find out about a case that even the police found difficult? But Yuan Shinfei still decided to help without hesitation. What was this? This was proof of Yuan Shinfei's chivalrous character, his loyalty, and his willingness to help. He really deserves to be an old friend of the Metropolitan Police Department and a good brother of the 1st Investigation Division. After leaving the Metropolitan Police Department building, Yuan Shinfei hummed a little song and did not take the killer's matter to heart. There was no other reason. Since 8 out of 10 killers in Tokyo were related to the organization, the remaining 1 or 2 would definitely be paid attention to by the organization. On the one hand, the organization would occasionally absorb some outstanding ones from those individual killers into the organization. They were the ones with greater innate advantages in the breeding link. On the other hand, everyone had assassination business, so the organization naturally had to monitor the market business environment in order to prevent some green hands from starting a price war and destroying the market conditions of the entire market. So compared to investigating by himself, Yuan Shinfei decided to call Rum's second brother directly. Of course, Yuan Shinfei must not say to Rum directly on the phone, "Little Rum, come and ask you something." Communicating with leaders also requires methods and ways, and using the art of language to encourage leaders to take the initiative to achieve our desired goals. For example, now, Yuan-shin, what's the matter? Rum doesn't mind giving him some special treatment in his words for Yuan Shinfei, a formal member who has always been very efficient. Although Rum always speaks electronically on the phone, you can still hear some differences through the speed and tone of his voice. It's like this: "Lord Rum, I got some news from the Metropolitan Police Department, and I think I should report it to you." "Oh, really? What news?" Rum attaches great importance to Yuan Shinfei's words. Judging from Yuan Shinfei's previous habits, if it was an important intelligence, he would have thrown it into the intelligence library with an outrageous title and sold it for money. The information that Yuan Shenfei took the initiative to contact him on the phone must be very important. Then Toyama Tobi reported to Rum in a serious tone. It's like this. Recently, a killer has appeared in the Tokyo market. He likes to use thin ropes such as steel wire and fishing line to kill people first, and then disguise it as a suicide scene. This killer is being investigated by the detectives of the 1st Investigation Division. If the investigation is obstructed, it is not ruled out that more resources will be mobilized to investigate him. The detectives of the 1st Investigation Division also asked me to help investigate this killer. I think if this is a cadre of the organization, he should be more careful during this period. Toyama Tobi never mentioned the identity of the killer, and his words were full of loyalty to the organization and concern for the cadres of the organization. Apart from anything else, just this attitude made Rum quite comfortable. It was what Toyama Tobi said that made Rum feel a little uncomfortable. Yuan Shen, I think you have some misunderstandings about the cadres of our organization, Rum said seriously. Although some cadres in the organization seem to be difficult to deal with, they are all normal. The killer you mentioned is a wild killer from outside. Our cadres are professionally trained and will not do those unnecessary things. Speaking of which cadres have you seen? Gin, vodka, Chianti, Cohen. Yuan Shenfei counted them one by one. If you include Lord Rum, there are only 5. In fact, there is also Shirley, but Yuan Shenfei did not count her as a cadre, and Rum did not think there was any problem. Well, Rum fell silent when he heard Yuan Shenfei say the code names of the organization's cadres like a treasure. How to say it? As a transnational criminal group, the organization is bound to have some weirdos. But Yuan Shenfei was able to make all the members he met after joining the organization be this kind of maverick type. Rum suddenly didn't know how to quibble to Yuan Shenfei. Abruptly changing the subject is a skill that all leaders must have. Rum then changed the subject and said to Yuan Shenfei, although it is a little cryptic, I still like this. Chapter 137, the organization's civil and military activities. Yuan Shen, I'll ask the intelligence team to find the killer's information for you later, and you can take it and sell it to the Metropolitan Police Department. Then in 2 days, you will go and cooperate with other cadres to complete a mission. The electronic voice in the call did not have particularly intense emotional fluctuations, but Yuan Shenfei could clearly sense that Rum wanted to let him know that there were normal people in the organization. Well, isn't this second brother Rum worrying too much? Didn't our Yuan Shenfei know what the organization was like before joining it? It was basically a bottle of wine poured from the water plant. There was not even a trace of alcohol. There are weirdos in the organization one after another. What kind of illusion would make Rum think that there are normal people in the organization? You just watch. Who among the slightly normal people in the organization is not an undercover sent by other institutions? I guarantee that you will be silent when you see it. Having said that, Yuan Shenfei certainly cannot reveal this bloody reality to Rum. So Yuan Shenfei could only agree in a serious manner. Okay, Lord Rum. Just notify me at any time if there is a mission. Rum hung up the phone with satisfaction. Before the information of the killer was sent, Rum first sent a task information. Yuan Shenfei thought that this information could also trigger the task of the system boss, but Yuan Shenfei read the entire task 3 times, and the new prompt of the system was not triggered. So Yuan Shenfei had a new speculation about the operation mechanism of the system. The task issued by Rum this time was a standard task for the intelligence group to obtain funds. As the saying goes, it is to make money. There are 2 types of money-making jobs in the organization. One is to make money by writing, and the other is to make money by force. The way of making money by force is similar to Jin's daily overtime, including but not limited to extortion, kidnapping for ransom, robbing banks, robbing jewelry stores, and a series of jobs that require force to complete. The main focus is a quick and clean deal, a one-shot deal or a few-shot deal. The action group that Jin is responsible for generally uses this method to obtain funds. The advantage is that it is effective quickly, and the money is not much, but it is definitely not a small amount. As long as the mission is carried out enough, the accumulated funds will naturally be quite a lot. What's more, there is no great gold content. Any peripheral member can become a skilled martial artist after following it twice. Of course, if you haven't learned it after following it twice, you can be put on the cleanup list. As the saying goes, it's not easy to learn good things, but it's easy to learn bad things. The organization doesn't need such a fool who doesn't even know how to do it. If he can't even commit a crime, what else can you expect him to learn? Learn calculus or essay writing, and civil service examination? Compared with the simplicity and crudeness of martial arts, the mission of civil affairs pays attention to the subtle and silent moistening. And the mission of civil affairs is also mostly handled by the intelligence group under RUM. The so-called civil affairs are different from the one-time business of martial arts. They pay attention to the long term. They pay more attention to eating up the whole family. Generally, civil affairs need to select the target first, and then make a long-term layout. The target of civil affairs is generally the chairman of some large group with few heirs. Then a perfect heir is sent to the target through various means to make him excited. If the chairman has no offspring, the intelligence team will make every effort to turn the members carefully trained by the organization into heirs. But if there are offspring and heirs, the organization will choose various ways to make the heir disappear or turn enemies into friends. For example, if the heir of the group is a woman, the organization will let the members find ways to become the adopted son-in-law of the target. The basic operation of this kind of adopted son-in-law is mostly to go through the adoption procedures first, and then marry the daughter to the son. The main thing is to make relatives closer. After the members of the organization have completely mastered the group company, the organization will cut off the voices of some opposing members. The chairman of Pisco's car company was obtained by Neo. Otherwise, could the organization really start a car company from scratch? Even if the Karasuma group had a car company in the past, it would be impossible for Pisco, a veteran member who had been killing people in the first half of his life, to harm it. Unless it is a company that comes for nothing, and you don't feel bad about doing anything, you can let Pisco, who was originally casually created. This time, the task that RUM sent to Yuan Shinfei was a standard Neo task. The mission itself was led by the cadres of the intelligence group, and the mission had reached the final stage. The heir to the mission target had been sent to the target, who had only one daughter. Logically speaking, as long as he could successfully marry the only daughter, then this huge group would be in the hands of the organization. But the target's daughter was a typical princess, and she didn't like the heir chosen by the organization. Since the way of becoming a son-in-law and adopted son was not feasible, the only way was to go to plan B, directly kill the only heir, and then find a way to make the heir of the organization legitimate. The reason why this mission did not trigger the system prompt was probably because the mission was not led by him, and when he joined the mission, it had already entered the final stage. It can be said that this mission can be successfully completed with or without Toyama Tobi. Well, another way to get stuck with a bug was blocked. What Toyama Tobi was concerned about was that the cadre leading this mission was codenamed Bourbon. That is, the undercover sent by the public security to the organization, the Japanese wolf warrior Toru Amuro. RUM's second brother is worthy of being RUM's second brother. He really thinks what Toyama Tobi thinks, and worries about what Toyama Tobi worries about. Toyama Tobi was just trying to get in touch with the public security department, but the person in charge of Zero was sent to him. Don't say anything, good second brother. If it weren't for the fact that Jin's position as the eldest brother could not be shaken, he would have wanted to upgrade RUM to the eldest brother. Jin, look at RUM's second brother. If you don't work harder, the eldest brother will become the second brother. There is no contact information for Bourbon in the task information sent by RUM. It is obvious that Toyama Tobi has to wait for Bourbon's call to contact this Japanese werewolf. But he is not idle now. Under RUM's arrangement, the intelligence team quickly collected the information of the killer and sent it to Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi started reading it immediately after receiving it, and then selected the information that could be handed over to Sato and Takagi. Well, the killer's name is Tachibana Maya, female, and good at strangling the target with steel wire. She just debuted, has a good reputation, superb skills, and reasonable prices. She is the best choice for those who need to hire a killer to try out something new in Biko Town. Although Maya Tachibana has disrupted the market in Biko Town to a certain extent, but because she has been working alone and acting erratically, the organization believes that she will be targeted by the police soon. So there is no idea of dealing with her for the time being. I have to say that the people in the intelligence team are really accurate in seeing things. That is the name may attach a banner. Toyama Tobi, who has been strengthened by the rum tray, has an excellent memory. He thought of the origin of this name after a brief recollection. That was an incident in which Kagoro Maori was almost strangled to death. If Conan hadn't arrived in time. Wait, Conan? Exclamation mark. Foggrass, Maori brother is in danger. Chapter 138, Good mentor and friend Yuan Shan. After truly seeing Conan's troublemaking physique, Toyama Tobi no longer has any doubts about Conan's luck. This guy is a natural detective. Yes, he can only be a detective. If Conan wants to be a detective in the future, this guy will write the case report alone. Yesterday's report has not been completed, and today's case has already happened. Even if the unit does not assign work to Conan, it is useless to just ask him to make up the report. Because Conan can encounter various cases when he is off work, on break, and on vacation. It is best for Conan to be a detective. After the incident is over, he can just pat his butt and leave, leaving a pile of messes to the detectives with a large number of people. After Maori Kagoro and Conan have been together for a long time, it is inevitable that he will be infected with this troublemaking physique, just like Toyama Tobi will passively become lucky after being with Xiaolan for a long time. In the original work, the killer Tachibana Mayor, who was hired by someone to assassinate Maori Kagoro, will still attack in a state of amnesia if nothing unexpected happens. If Conan was still there, Toyama Tobi would only need to pay attention to whether the Maori family had picked up an amnesiac woman. Then, while this guy was amnesiac, he would hand the person over to Takagi and Sato. Now Conan was personally sent into the tiger's mouth of Erikisuki by Toyama Tobi, and whether he could stand up at night was another matter. How could he have the energy to save Kagoro Maori, whose life was hanging by a thread? TSK, this incident of Brother Maori tells you that son-in-law is unreliable. At this time, it is still your brothers who need to help you. Thinking of this, Toyama Tobi immediately called Kagoro Maori, but learned that Kagoro Maori was already in the hospital. After asking which hospital it was, Toyama Tobi drove there immediately, and when he entered the ward, he was completely shocked by the scene in the ward. The ordinary ward of Biha General Hospital is 3 people per room, and the ward where Kagoro Maori is located is already overcrowded. In the ward, Kagoro Maori, Erikisuki, and Erikisuki's secretary Midori Kiriyama were busy taking care of the 3 people lying on the bed. Toyama Tobi knew 2 of them. Wow, Xiaolan and Conan, what are you doing? Toyama Tobi sighed heartily when he saw this magical scene. He thought that the description of Kisuki-era's cooking skills in the anime was an exaggeration. But he didn't expect that the performance in the anime was still restrained. Xiaolan and Conan lay on the hospital bed with pale faces. It seemed that, because they hadn't eaten Kisuki-era's cooking for a long time, their body's resistance to specific toxins was slowly reduced. This time, they were suddenly treated with all their strength by Kisuki-era, and they went directly from one extreme to another. Speaking of which, Xiaolan and Conan's appearance was also thanks to Toyama Tobi. If Toyama Tobi hadn't told Kisuki-era that the consumption voucher was about to expire, Kisuki-era would not have purchased ingredients in a large scale in the boutique supermarket. And because Kisuki-era didn't cook much at home, she simply made a real feast for Conan and Xiaolan tonight. Even Xiaolan didn't expect that the power of her mother's cooking was actually proportional to the price of the ingredients. The amount of coupons that Toyama Tobi gave to Kisuki-era was not small. Kisuki-era poured her motherly love into the whole table of dishes, and then this pair of childhood sweethearts almost died at Kisuki-era's hands. If Kisuki-era hadn't called the emergency number when she saw the situation was not good, maybe these 2 people would have fallen into the toilet in the bathroom today. After Xiaolan and Conan were sent to the ambulance, Kisuki-era immediately contacted Maori Kagoro. Maori Kagoro was very impressed when he heard that Xiaolan was taking Conan to eat the meal cooked by her mother without knowing the consequences. She is really worthy of being his daughter, Maori Kagoro, and she is really rough in her behavior. Maori Kagoro, who knew the power of Kisaki-era's cooking, hurried to the hospital. On the way, a beautiful woman who fell from the sky gave Maori Kagoro a surprise. At first, Eri Kisaki thought that Kagoro Maori was fooling around with some woman. After some explanations, combined with the injuries on the woman's body, Eri Kisaki realized that what her husband said might be true. Although she had been separated from her husband for 10 years, it did not mean that the two of them did not see each other often. Eri Kisaki also knew that this kind of game with bruises all over the body was not what Kagoro Maori liked. There was no choice but to call Kiriyama Midori and ask her to help take care of the inexplicable woman who fell from the sky. Toyama Tobi looked at Conan, who was pale, and then looked at Eri Kisaki, who looked ashamed, and immediately understood. He had only considered the impact of Conan's death halo on Kagoro Maori, but did not take into account Xyadalen's European Emperor halo. Even if there was no Conan, and no Toyama Tobi, there would still be Eri Kisaki to save Kagoro Maori's life. Toyama Tobi couldn't even imagine what it would be like if Eri Kisaki found out that her husband almost died at the hands of a woman of unknown origin. That would be a tragic picture. Toyama Tobi walked in front of Conan. Conan, who was pale, rolled his eyes at Toyama Tobi when he saw him coming. Rolling his eyes was the limit of Conan's body, but not the limit of his expression. If possible, Conan would like to give all the leftover food to Toyama Tobi so that he can also experience what it means to be unable to live or die. At this moment, Conan suddenly felt that the pork chop rice used by the Metropolitan Police Department when interrogating prisoners was simply weak. If it was replaced with his mother-in-law's cooking, Conan didn't believe that anyone would not confess. ! It's all my fault. Eri Kisaki was depressed and ashamed. If I hadn't insisted on cooking, the two of them wouldn't have suffered this. Although Eri Kisaki and Xyadalen ate the same thing, the Maori family's ancestral resistance was strong. As the wife of Maori Kagoro, Eri Kisaki's talent was obviously rewarded in poison resistance. Maori Kagoro wanted to say something, but didn't say it. After all, he was also one of the victims of Eri Kisaki's cooking. At this time, Toyama Tobi, who is easy to talk to, needs to take action. Toyama Tobi smiled slightly and said lightly under Conan's horrified gaze, "Yes, this is indeed all your fault, Mrs. Mori." "Yes," said Eri Kisaki with a guilty look. "If you had cooked more meals for Xyadalan in the past 10 years, would your cooking skills have become so rusty?" "Huh?" Toyama Tobi said in an angry tone. "After all, it's because Xyadalan hasn't eaten your cooking for nearly 10 years, and your cooking skills have been rusty for 10 years, which has led to the bitter fruit today. Mrs. Mori, listen to my advice. It's not good to stop eating because of choking, but you can slowly pick up your cooking skills." The three people in the office felt more and more that something was wrong, and even Xyadalan began to tremble slightly on the hospital bed. "Even if you don't want to move back to the office, it's okay to come over and cook a meal for them occasionally, right?" Maori Kagoro was very excited, Maori Ran was very excited, and Conan was so excited that he almost fainted. Kisaki Eri was also excited because she felt that what Toyama Tobi said was right. Toyama Tsuyoshi is indeed a mentor and helpful friend to Kagoro, and his words made her suddenly enlightened. Kisaki Eri, who was originally listless, suddenly cheered up and excitedly thanked Toyama Tobi. That's right, Toyama, you are absolutely right. I have realized my mistake, and I will go to the office more often to take care of Xyadalan and Conan in the future." At this moment, Kisaki Eri's maternal brilliance was so brilliant that for a moment, no one in the ward dared to look directly at Mrs. Mori, who was radiating maternal love. Chapter 139 Itsu. Search the mirror database of Lesson 1 Movement. What Fei Yingli said made Xyadalan feel entangled. It was Xyadalan's dream to let her mother move back to the office. If her mother could come to the office often, the chance of moving back would obviously increase greatly. But if Fei Yingli returned to the office to cook for them, Xyadalan wanted to cry without tears. Things shouldn't be like this. Obviously, it was a rare and happy event that her mother promised to come back to the office often, but why didn't she feel the joy in her heart at all? After a lot of entanglement, Xyadalan made a very bad decision. Facing Conan's expectant eyes, Xiaolin weakly squeezed out a smile to Fei Yingli. Yes, Mom, I like your cooking very much. What are you doing? What are you talking about, Xiaolin? Conan's eyes were wide open, and his eyes, which were not small to begin with, were now exaggeratedly large. After listening to Xiaolin's words, and looking at Fei Yingli's firm expression, Conan's pupils gradually began to dilate, and then his eyes turned black, and he fainted immediately. Toyama Tobi covered Conan with a blanket, with an enviable look on his face. Young people are good, they fall asleep right away, so enviable. Maori Kagoro saw some clues, but he only had deep envy in his heart. Maori Kagoro, the most popular detective in Makanao, the future famous detective, also wanted to faint like this. After finalizing that Kisakieri would regularly give the agency training to improve toxin resistance, Toyama Tobi turned his eyes to the strange woman lying on the other bed. Is this the woman you met when you came to the hospital, Brother Maori? Toyama Tobi looked up and down at the woman on the bed. Yes, I wanted to go to the hospital through the overpass at the time, but she stumbled and fell down the stairs. The situation was urgent, so I just brought her to the hospital. Speaking of business, Maori Kagoro came to Toyama Tobi and said in a deep voice, "This woman looks like she has been through very strict training." The unconscious woman's body revealed a sense of strength. If she was not strong enough, she would not use steel wire as a murder weapon. Ms. Kuriyama, please raise this lady's hand for me to see. Okay. Kuriyama Midori hurriedly showed the woman's hand to Toyama Tobi. The end of the woman's index finger had obvious marks from using steel wire, fishing line, and the like. What about her identity, Brother Maori, do you know? Toyama Tobi continued to ask. Maori shook his head. I don't know. She only remembers her name is Maya, and she doesn't remember the rest. After examination, the doctor determined that she had mild retrograde amnesia. Now she should be sleeping, because she is not energetic enough. Maya, Tachibana Maya, this is right. Does she have any personal belongings? As soon as Toyama Tobi asked, Kuriyama Midori took out a small bag and handed it to Toyama Tobi. In the bag was a page torn from a book, and faint notes could be seen on it. There was also a puzzle of unknown meaning. Finally, there was a necklace that felt very heavy. Toyama Tobi picked up the necklace and fumbled with it for a while, then pulled out a long steel wire from the necklace. What is this? Maori Kagoro and Kisakieri were both surprised. They didn't expect that such a long steel wire could be pulled out of Maya's necklace. I think I need to contact Officer Sato from the Investigation Division 1. Toyama Tobi put the necklace back into the bag. What's going on, Toyama? Do you know her? Maori Kagoro asked. No, but when I was in the cafe, Officer Sato and Officer Takagi just told me about the recent serial murder case. Kisakieri took over Toyama Tobi's words and said, I've heard of this case. It is said that the murderer first strangled the victim with steel wire or fishing line, and then disguised it as a suicide scene. Could it be? Yes, this Miss Maya has obviously received strict training, and there are obvious traces of steel wire on her hands, plus this hidden long steel wire. Toyama Tobi took out his mobile phone and called Sato. Not long after, Sato and Takagi hurried to the ward of Bika General Hospital. Mr. Maori, what about Xiaolin and Conan? Sato noticed Xiaolin and Conan on the bed as soon as he entered the ward and asked curiously. Maori Kagoro struggled for a long time and finally squeezed out for words helplessly. Food poisoning. Is that so? Sato blinked. She always felt that Maori Kagoro seemed to have something to say, but now it was more important to do business. Toyama, do you think this woman is very likely the killer we are looking for? Almost. Toyama nodded. Whether it is a trained body, or traces of long-term use of steel wire, or the steel wire she carries with her, this woman's identity is very suspicious, but the problem now is, Maori Kagoro told Sato and Takagi about Mayor Tachibana's situation, and Sato and Takagi also realized the thorny point. With Mayor Tachibana now in a state of not knowing anything, there is no way to conduct an interrogation. So the current priority seems to be to help this woman named Maya find her identity. As a criminal police officer, Sato has seen all kinds of cases, but it was her first time to find a suspect who needed to find her identity and memory first. I think it shouldn't be difficult to investigate. Kisakieri stepped forward at this time. The doctor who treated Miss Mayer's injuries told us that her injuries were most likely caused by a car accident. Officer Sato, you can go and check if there have been any major car accidents nearby. Then there is this note with 9.13 Last Supper written on it. This may be a place name. Check if there is a store called Last Supper in Tokyo. If Miss Mayer took the bus, it should be along the bus route. Tachibana Mayer didn't have a lot of money on her, which means that she definitely didn't travel by taxi. Otherwise, judging from the taxi fares in Tokyo, unless she decided to take a free ride from the beginning. If this Miss Mayer is really a killer, she would either drive herself or take public transportation. If she took a taxi, it would inevitably leave a memory, not to mention that Tachibana Mayer is not bad looking and has a good figure. The taxi driver will still have an impression of such a passenger for a short time. Sato and Takagi looked at each other and felt that what Kisakieri said made a lot of sense. Takagi hurriedly left to investigate according to Kisakieri's ideas. As for Sato, he stayed in the ward and stared at Tachibana Mayer who was still sleeping. Speaking of which, your luck is really good. Sato teased Toyama Tobi. I just told you about this case in the morning, and you found the person in the evening? The efficiency is really high. Toyama Tobi immediately said that he would not take the blame. The person was found by Brother Mori and picked up. It has nothing to do with me, although this is the case. If it weren't for you, Mr. Mori would not be able to deduce her identity, right? Toyama Tobi's magical physique wanted Sato to clarify the Metropolitan Police Department. The rumor that Toyama Tobi is the mobile credit library of the investigation division is untrue. Because this is not a rumor, but a fact. Chapter 140 The meeting between the Emperor and the Emperor. Takagi acted quickly, or the car accident near the Bika General Hospital was very big. A bus and a truck collided head-on, and the scene was quite tragic. Compared with those who were seriously injured, Mayor Tachibana, who only had a short-term amnesia, seemed particularly lucky. Then Takagi began to investigate along the bus route. When investigating at number 9213 Nakamichi, Takagi found a shop called The Last Supper. Although the words "this shop is closed" were hung on the door of the shop, the door was not locked. Takagi immediately decided to go in and investigate. On the wall of the shop, Takagi found a huge puzzle that occupied half of the wall, and the piece missing was exactly the one in Mayor Tachibana's hand. Just as Takagi was about to investigate other places, someone suddenly attacked him from the dark. The first rule of the criminal police search code is that when a person acts alone, never ignore the danger behind you. Although Toyama Tobi only taught Takagi this rule, it also benefited Takagi infinitely. Since entering this strange enclosed area, Takagi has been on guard, especially for those behind him. The man who jumped out from behind and attacked him was exactly what Takagi wanted. Kyogoku Ryu Karate was smoothly used by Takagi, and the attacker took all the physical damage from Takagi in a way that caught him off guard. After a hearty fight, the attacker fell on his back. The big beard on his face was also beaten, not just in self-defense, but disappeared. Takagi took a look and thought, wow, there is an unexpected gain. The man who was knocked to the ground by him was the fugitive Yuda Deng who had just escaped from prison 2 days ago. Yuda Deng, a scumbag who was sent to prison by Maurika Goro. In order to defraud insurance money, he killed his wife Yuda Kiko and invited Maurika Goro as an alibi witness. When he was caught, Yuda Deng threatened to give Maurika Goro a good look. This is unreasonable. Maurika Goro was invited by you, Yuda Deng, and you are not good at learning and craftsmanship, which eventually led to the exposure of the conspiracy. You should blame yourself, right? What does it have to do with Maurika Goro? Our Maori brother is just an emotionless Conan Jinchuriki, a murder scene reasoning machine with his eyes closed and silent. Anyway, being able to catch a prisoner while solving other cases, Takagi can be regarded as a god-given credit. Then Maya woke up in the hospital, and Sato took her to the Last Supper. When Maya saw the unconscious Yuda and others, the familiar place and Yuda and others' faces instantly reminded her of everything. Just when Tachibana Maya was surprised that she had recovered her memory and was about to check the assassination target this time, she was suddenly handcuffed by Sato with silver light. No, what's the matter? How did I fall into the hands of the police when I lost my memory? Is this woman actually a policeman? Exclamation mark. Tachibana Maya, who was wearing handcuffs, saw that Sato was a policewoman and immediately had a little idea. Then she was beaten up by Sato and stayed on the ground with Yuda and others. Sato put the last puzzle piece in place and the drawer of the table below popped open, revealing a stack of information and a photo. The person in the photo is none other than Maurika Goro. Now that's good. The original assassination target personally handed the killer over to the police, and the jailbreak who hired the killer was successfully arrested. 2 cases were solved in 1 police call, adding 2 credits. Sato and Takagi were like Kinsha who aren't touching the electric switch. They won. This time, Toyama Tobi did not follow Sato and the others back to the Metropolitan Police Department to take a statement. First, it was because this was not a murder case, and the person was not picked up by Toyama Tobi. He simply didn't join in the fun. Second, Toyama Tobi received an email from Japanese wolf warrior Amuro Toru while he was in the hospital. They agreed to meet at the restaurant of the Rice Flower Hotel at 7:30 tomorrow morning, and it was this way of meeting that made Toyama Tobi's eyes become complicated. 7:30 in the morning. Breakfast restaurant of the Rice Flower Hotel. Toyama Tobi sat in the corner of the restaurant eating breakfast with a newspaper in his hand. When he noticed the blonde and dark-skinned man in waiter uniform in the restaurant, he showed an expression of as expected. To be honest, if Toyama Tobi wanted to become a part-time emperor in order to earn more system rewards, then Amuro Toru's part-time work can only be said to be a personal hobby. Toyama Tobi became a part-time emperor because of quality, while Amuro Toru was called a part-time emperor because of quantity. Toyama Tobi was a little curious. An organization cadre worked 8 jobs a day, most of which were either waiters or bartenders, or various part-time jobs. Is such a person a normal person in the eyes of Rum? Toyama Tobi felt that he seemed to have misunderstood Rum's second brother. Sure enough, the members of the organization had a very different understanding of normality from the outside world. Waiter, please come over. Toyama Tobi waved to Amuro Toru, and Amuro Toru walked to Toyama Tobi with a friendly smile. Sir, how can I help you? Professional, damn professional. This voice, this perfect professional smile, it can be seen that Amuro Toru usually does this kind of work. Toyama Tobi gave the same smile to Amuro Toru and said, "Bourbon?" Toru Amuro's pupils shrank, and then his expression returned to its original state, but the tone of his voice was quite unfriendly. "Didn't I tell you to sneak into the restaurant as a waiter? Why don't you follow my plan?" Facing Amuro Toru's dissatisfaction, Toyama Tobi looked very innocent. "Rum definitely didn't tell you that I have been living in the suite of the Bika Hotel. Do you think a customer who has booked a suite for a year suddenly ran to the restaurant to work as a part-time waiter? Is this reasonable, Bourbon?" It is obvious that Toru Amuro did not have a photo of Toyama Tobi in his hand, and it is unknown whether Rum did it intentionally or accidentally. The email that Toru Amuro sent to Toyama Tobi yesterday clearly stated that Bika Hotel was recruiting temporary workers. Toru Amuro asked Toyama Tobi to sneak into Bika Hotel as a temporary worker and then meet him when the opportunity arose. By the way, Toru Amuro also told Toyama Tobi about his characteristics to make it easier for Toyama Tobi to find him. Toru Amuro was still very curious about Toyama Tobi, an ordinary member who joined the mission at the last minute. He was curious about what kind of person would let Rum personally place him by his side. Toru Amuro thought too much about this. Rum did this purely to let Toyama Tobi find an opportunity to brush up his qualifications and feel the technical content of the intelligence team's work. Although it was not said explicitly, Rum still believed that people like Toyama Tobi would prefer technical work such as the intelligence team. This is also a kind of implicit solicitation. Hey, look at what Jin does every day. It's either killing or killing. How monotonous the tasks of our intelligence team are different. These tasks are all work in the intelligence team. You can live, but you must have work. Chapter 141. It's broken. We encountered the second generation of gangsters. When Toru Amuro heard that Toyama Tobi often lived in the Bika Hotel and even had a year-round suite in the hotel, he had an idea in his mind. There are actually masters in the organization. As an undercover agent of the public security who broke into the organization, Toru Amuro has always been very familiar with the organization's reimbursement benefits for carders. He now lives in a luxury apartment, eats high-end cuisine, and collects expensive foreign wines, all of which are reimbursed by the organization. Even the money he spent on modifying his beloved car has to be invoiced and then reimbursed by the organization. I just want to think that, although I can't destroy the organization, I can try to eat it down. Toyama Tobi's operation directly opened the door to a new world for Toru Amuro. Sure enough, the matter of slacking off and making money at work depends on young people. The so-called working to make money. If you work hard at work, it is not called making money. Then you get the labor remuneration you deserve. If you can still get a salary without working at work, that is called making money. The first meeting between the two working emperors began with Toyama Tobi gaining the upper hand with a sentence. "You have understood the mission, right?" Toru Amuro still maintained the attitude of a waiter and whispered to Toyama Tobi, "I understand. You have almost completed the mission. I just want to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor." Toyama Tobi nodded seriously and said frankly, Sincerity is the ultimate skill." Toyama Tobi's words made Toru Amuro silent. In fact, there was nothing wrong with what Toyama Tobi said, because Toru Amuro had indeed arranged everything for this mission, and it was the kind that was in place in all aspects. Only the last step was left, and the whole mission could be declared a perfect end. Toyama Tobi came at this time, and the implication of sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor was indeed quite strong. But although this was the case, Toyama Tobi couldn't say it so bluntly. Toyama Tobi's words made Toru Amuro feel that, if he didn't let Toyama Tobi do something, he would be at a loss. In addition, Toyama Tobi was sitting now, and he was standing now. Toyama Tobi looks elegant in a black suit, while Amuro Toru looks like a waiter in a waiter's uniform. Toyama Tobi sits upright on a chair, looking very generous, while Amuro Toru bows slightly and looks very respectful. Based on this picture, it doesn't feel out of place to say that Toyama Tobi is a cadre of the organization and Amuro Toru is an ordinary member. You have to calm down, Furuirie. This guy is sent by Rum to monitor you. Don't be led by his rhythm. He is just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of his labor. Can Rum let him come and pick peaches every time in the future? Just when Amuro Toru was about to follow Toyama Tobi's words and let Toyama Tobi only have a name in the mission, but he doesn't need to participate in it, Toyama Tobi's next sentence directly made Amuro Toru's veins pop out. "Actually, Bourbon, you don't need to contact me. As long as you add my name to the mission, I really don't mind whether I participate or not. After all, you can get credit without doing any work. Where can you find such a good thing?" Amuro Toru suddenly felt that it was possible that this Toyama Tobi was not really sent by Rum to monitor him. This guy might be a relative of the organization. He even wondered what kind of relationship would allow Rum to personally find him to open a backdoor for Toyama Tobi. Amuro Toru, who had originally lacked interest in Toyama Tobi, suddenly became interested. "How much do you know about the goal of this mission?" Amuro Toru asked calmly, and Toyama Tobi's eyes flashed a trace of confusion at the right time. Are you really going to let me participate in your mission?" Toyama Tobi's performance further confirmed Amuro Toru's conjecture, so Amuro Toru had a blank expression when facing Toyama Tobi. "Letting you join the mission is also the organization's mission, and it also needs to be taken seriously." In just one sentence, Amuro Toru established Toyama Tobi as a die-hard fan of the winery. It was the kind of person who was obviously very unhappy with Toyama Tobi, but had to work hard to complete it, because it was the organization's mission. Hey, if the organization was replaced by the owner at this time, wouldn't the whole picture suddenly become strange? Toyama Tobi silently praised Amuro Toru. He was indeed an ace undercover. His every word and action were all acting. In order to allow Amuro Toru to play his role smoothly, Toyama Tobi said confidently, "I don't know anything at all." Some speculations in Amuro Toru's heart were becoming more and more imminent, but this did not prevent Toyama Tobi's blood pressure from rising continuously with just a few words. Then Amuro Toru bowed to Toyama Tobi and left quickly, picked up the coffee cup, and ran to the coffee machine in the restaurant. He pretended to make cappuccino for Toyama Tobi. Amuro Toru, who was making coffee, kept calming himself down and only returned to Toyama Tobi after adjusting his mentality. Without any greetings or foreplay, Toru Amuro put down his cappuccino and went straight to the point. The target this time is the Shijin Group, whose businesses include electronics industry, foreign trade, commodity companies and many other businesses. The chairman's only daughter, Shijin Ryuka, is a standard young lady who fits the public's impression. The original heir to the Shijin Group has been in place, but the young lady is not very interested in the heir of the organization. Recently, the chairman of Shijin has intended to choose a husband for his only daughter. We need to take advantage of the last time to make Shijin Ryuka change her mind. Or, Toyama Tobi nodded in understanding. I understand. Or let her disappear forever. Don't worry, I have learned this. Jin taught me. You also know Jin. Toru Amuro was very surprised. Of course, don't you know him? Toyama Tobi asked strangely with a puzzled look. Although the intelligence team and the action team often cooperate on certain tasks, the internal organizations of the two organizations do not have much intersection on weekdays. At least Toyama Tobi is just an ordinary member, or a formal member, and is not at the level of being able to cross the two groups at will. What's more, the head of the intelligence team is Rum, and the head of the action team is Jin. From what Toyama Tobi said, he has a deep relationship with these two guys. Originally, Amuro Toru had kept a distance from Toyama Tobi, but now, Amuro Toru felt that he could get to know Toyama Tobi more deeply. After making the decision, Amuro Toru immediately said to Toyama Tobi, Chairman Shijin will hold a birthday party for his only daughter Shijin Ryuka this weekend. That will be our last chance to observe Shijin Ryuka. Do you need me to help you get an invitation? Or arrange you to be a part-time waiter at the party? Toyama Tobi felt that Amuro Toru simply wanted to see himself as a waiter, so he simply rejected Bourbon's good intentions. No need, I have my own way to sneak into the party. Shijin Group and Shijin Ryuka. Toyama Tobi immediately thought of a commission with a huge commission fee that he had taken on for Maori Kagoro not long ago. The content was to help Shijin Ryuka find the lost pet dog. It turns out that as long as Kagoro Mori is not asked to reason about a murder case, this guy can still make good use of his skills. Toyama Tobi stirred up the latte art that Toru Amuro had carefully made in the cup. After adding 2 packets of sugar, Toyama Tobi drank the warm coffee in front of Toru Amuro, whose eyes were twitching. It tastes great. Bourbon. See you this weekend. Toyama Tobi said and left the restaurant leisurely, while Toru Amuro stared at Toyama Tobi's back and had only one thought. Damn, who is the higher level between the two of them? Exclamation mark. Chapter 142 Scradina's Identity. Although Toyama Tobi left the restaurant of the Bika Hotel early, Amuro Toru finished the entire part-time job with great professionalism. After receiving the part-time salary, Amuro Toru changed out of the Bika Hotel waiter uniform and left the hotel. Under an unknown bridge in Tokyo, Amuro Toru made an appointment with Kazumi Uaya to meet here. Unlike the undercover agents in Hong Kong movies who prefer to meet on the rooftop, Amuro Toru prefers to meet people in such a well-connected place. When an undercover agent meets someone on the rooftop, if he is blocked, he either fights out head-on or jumps down directly from the building. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem like a good choice. But Amuro Toru chose a different meeting place. If something really happened when the two met, one of them could find a way to escape from the bridge, and the other could dive into the water directly. It is always better for both parties to cover each other than to fight with others on the rooftop. Mr. Furuya, I brought the information you asked me to check. After confirming that the area around the meeting place was safe, Kazumi Uaya took out a file bag and handed it to Amuro Toru. After taking the file bag, Amuro Toru raised his hand and said, "Thank you, Kazumi." Then the file bag was opened, and Amuro Toru began to look through the information inside. This information was exactly the identity file of Toyama Tobi that Kazumi Uaya got through official channels. Kazumi Uaya was a little curious. Is this Toyama Tobi that Mr. Furuya asked me to check also a member of the organization? Amuro Toru, who was halfway through reading the information, suddenly raised his head and looked at Kazumi Uaya. Do you know anything? Kazumi Uaya shook his head. I don't know much, but Toyama Tobi is very popular in the investigation section. It's just that we don't have much interaction with the investigation section, so we are not familiar with Toyama Tobi. I heard that he is in the parking lot of the Metropolitan Police Department and even has his own fixed parking space. Amuro Toru didn't turn to the next page of the information in his hand. He was stunned when he heard what Kazumi Uaya said. How come Toyama Tobi has managed to get a fixed parking space in the Metropolitan Police Department without anyone noticing? Exclamation mark. Although Toru Amuro does not have a fixed parking space in the parking lot of the Metropolitan Police Department, that is because he is not a member of the Metropolitan Police Department. The Zero Group led by Toru Amuro belongs to the Security Planning Division of the Security Bureau of the National Police Department. It is normal not to have a fixed parking space in the Metropolitan Police Department. But Toyama Tobi, an outsider, has managed to get a fixed parking space in the Metropolitan Police Department. Well, Toyama Tobi has already infiltrated the police force. Exclamation mark. Mr. Furuya, I think you should take a look at the last document. Kazumi Uaya reminded the stunned Toru Amuro. Toru Amuro did not hesitate at all and quickly turned the document in his hand to the end. At the end of the document was a copy of a document. This document was signed by Toyama Tobi at the Metropolitan Police Department when he officially became Sato Miwako's informant. This document also means that Toyama Tobi can be considered half of the insiders. After all, there are not many people in Tokyo who are on record like Toyama Tobi and openly receive informant subsidies from the Metropolitan Police Department. Amuro Toru even thought that this document was a joke between Kazumi Uaya and himself. How could Toyama Tobi be an informant of the police? He was more like an undercover sent to the police force by Rum. Looking at the signing time of the document, Amuro Toru understood. Sure enough, the signing time of the document was not long ago, which means that Toyama Tobi first became a formal member of the organization, and then became an informant of the Metropolitan Police Department. But what makes Amuro Toru a little strange is that, if Rum wants Toyama Tobi to become an undercover agent of the organization in the Metropolitan Police Department, wouldn't it be more reliable to let him directly enter the Metropolitan Police Department as a policeman? A registered informant like Toyama Tobi can be considered half of the insiders of the police force, but half of the insiders are not all insiders after all. Some information that police officers can easily obtain is difficult to obtain as an informant. It was a case of the effort not being proportional to the reward. How could Toru Amuro know that Rum originally intended to let Toyama Tobi go to the Metropolitan Police Department to be a policeman? He even hoped that he would pass the National Civil Service examination, but unfortunately Toyama Tobi was unable to carry out this task due to his identity. Asking Toyama Tobi to be an informant for the police was a waste of time. But he didn't expect that Toyama Tobi would really make a name for himself as an informant. After reading the information thoroughly, Toru Amuro asked Uaya Kazumi, "Have you verified the authenticity of Toyama Tobi's identity information?" Uaya Kazumi nodded. "When I got the information, I asked others to investigate it. I think it's time now." Before Uaya Kazumi finished speaking, his phone began to vibrate. Uaya Kazumi took out his phone and nodded to Toru Amuro. The investigation should be completed. Uaya Kazumi answered the call and reported his name and then began to listen quietly to the content on the phone. Little by little, Uaya Kazumi's expression gradually became strange. After Kazumi Uaya hung up the phone, Amuro Toru asked curiously, "What do you mean?" Kazumi Uaya pointed to the information in Amuro Toru's hand and said, "The orphanage where Toyama Tobi stayed when he was a child has closed down a few years ago because it was unable to make ends meet. The director of the orphanage was taken abroad by his own children and could not be contacted. The information that could prove the identity of those orphans was completely burned down in a fire a few years ago." What about his schooling experience? The elementary school, junior high school, and high school listed in Toyama Tobi's information were all closed for various reasons. Some people who might have confirmed Toyama Tobi's identity either cannot be contacted at all, or are living abroad, or were murdered for some reason. These murders. Amuro Toru's expression became serious. Kazumi Uaya shook his head. "There is nothing wrong with these murders. They were all solved by detectives passing by to help the local police. Judging from the past experience and current status of these detectives, they are all ironclad cases. According to the information, Toyama Tobi went to a private university abroad. Private universities abroad will not give face to their public security, so this is undoubtedly another unsolved case. Amuro Toru smiled speechlessly, and in this way, Toyama Tobi's identity became Scradina's identity. You can't prove that his identity is fake, but you can't prove that his identity information is real. If Toyama Tobi's identity information is real, it can only be said that Toyama Tobi's fate is quite different. It's not an exaggeration to say that he is a star of misfortune. As for Toyama Tobi's information, if it is fake, it can only prove that the person who created a fake identity for Toyama Tobi really took the trouble. It can be found among the numerous schools in Japan that fit the timeline and meet the requirements. Even if it is treated as a biological son, it is estimated that this is the case. Coincidentally, Amuro Toru really knows someone who is capable of doing this. My old mother-in-law bought my wife an insurance policy when she was 2 years old. When my wife is 77 years old, she can receive more than 2 million in one lump sum. This means that in less than 50 years of hard life, we can become millionaires. When we are old as expected, we all have a bright future. Sprinkle flowers. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Happy Life in the Office. Rum. Bourbon. What's wrong? Toru Amuro seldom takes the initiative to contact Rum, and most of the time it is Rum who contacts Toru Amuro. When he is not doing the organization's tasks, Toru Amuro usually works part-time in various places. In Rum's opinion, Toru Amuro's hobby is already a rare normal person in the organization. Speaking of which, he hasn't given Toru Amuro any extra tasks recently. Now Toru Amuro calls him. Does that mean that Toyama Tobi has met Bourbon? Sure enough, Bourbon's next sentence immediately made Rum's mouth twitch. I have met Toyama Tobi. To be honest, I haven't seen such a newcomer in the organization for a long time. If this guy doesn't have a direct superior, why don't I let him follow me? Not so good. When Rum heard Toru Amuro's proposal, he rejected it in his heart without thinking. The reason is very simple. Both Rum and Gin have a high opinion of Toyama Tobi. In other words, they are very optimistic about Toyama Tobi. The heads of the intelligence team and the action team are both optimistic about Toyama Tobi. To be honest, the number of people who are optimistic about Toyama Tobi is really not much, just one more bourbon, and one less bourbon. Rum also admires Toyama Tobi's ability to attract bees and butterflies. He just met Bourbon today, and he hasn't even reached the stage of executing the mission, but he can make Bourbon come to him to ask for people. In principle, Rum only has 50% of the command power of Toyama Tobi, and the other half is still in Jin's hands. Of course, as the second in command of the organization, Rum must not tell Bourbon that he is now thinking about snatching people from Jin. This will undermine Rum's majesty and mystery in the organization. So Rum suddenly had an idea and said to Amuro Toru, Toyama Tobi was discovered and trained by Jin. If you want Toyama Tobi, you have to talk to Jin about this matter. Forget it, I don't want to offend Jin. Amuro Toru rejected Rum's proposal without hesitation. There is such an unspoken rule in the organization. That is, once someone brings up Jin, it means that this will be a very tactful rejection. It is really hard to describe the popularity of Brother Jin in the organization. Except for those members of the action team, Jin is basically kept away from everyone in the organization. There is no way. Every member of the organization is afraid of being suddenly approached by Jin, and then kindly said, hello, I think your loyalty to the organization has been shaken recently. Who can stand this? On the other hand, since you, Rum, can insert Toyama Tobi into your mission, when did the intelligence team start to wear pants with the action team? Or is your intelligence team surnamed Jin? Amuro Toru didn't believe a word of Rum's perfunctory response, but since Rum had clearly expressed his refusal, it would be tactless for Amuro Toru to ask again. So Amuro Toru could only say a few words to Rum and hang up the phone. Toyama Tobi, Toyama Tobi, Toyama Tobi in the luxury apartment at night. Whispers came from Amuro Toru's room. He had a hunch that he would probably find the next breakthrough in his organization's undercover work in Toyama Tobi. What is the most important thing for a qualified intelligence officer before taking action? Observation, observation, and damn observation. This time, the mission of the Shijin group is the best opportunity for Amuro Toru to observe Toyama Tobi up close. The next afternoon, Toyama Tobi drove to the place where the chairman of the Shijin group held a party for his only daughter. The birthday party of the daughter of the Shijin group was held in the Shijin family's villa on the mountain. This is a common practice among the rich people in Bika town. After handing the invitation to the security personnel at the door, Toyama Tobi successfully entered the villa. Today he came alone. Originally, Toyama Tobi did want to follow Maori Kaguro to attend the birthday party of the daughter of the Shijin family. But Xiaolan once again spread the light of luck, allowing Maori Kaguro to draw a family ticket for a trip to Ryamoto Island. Because of a lawsuit that needed to be heard in court during the trip, Kisakieri could only regretfully miss this family trip. In this regard, whether it was Maori Ran, Maori Kaguro, or Conan, they all cheered in their hearts. When they heard the news, they almost hugged each other and cried with excitement. But the enemy was at hand and they could only bite their back teeth to endure this unexpected surprise. Maori Kaguro didn't even spend more than 2 seconds thinking about whether to go on a family trip or attend the birthday party of the daughter of the Shijin family. Then Maori Kaguro asked Toyama Tobi to attend the birthday party on his behalf. You can only leave the office for 1 day to attend the birthday party of the daughter of the Shijin family, but if you go on a family trip to Ryamoto Island, you can leave the office for at least a week. What does this mean? This means that this week is the absolute safe time for everyone in the office. Everyone. Why is Kisakieri so successful? It's because she really listens to advice. Toyama Tobi's good advice was completely heard by Kisakieri, so after the incident of the annihilation of miners in the office, Kisakieri ran over every few days to improve their meals. Don't say it, you really don't say it. The health of the 3 people in the office is getting better day by day, and their resistance to Kisakieri's cooking is getting higher day by day. Even now, Maori Kaguro and the other 3 can completely eat a meal of Kisakieri's cooking without vomiting. This is a small step for the office to strengthen their resistance, and it is also a big step for human evolution. But the fact that some negative buffs in the cooking are immune to the human body does not mean that they can accept the taste of Kisakieri's cooking. The food will still be unpalatable. Originally, with Maori Kaguro's temper, he would definitely not tolerate this kind of cowardly feeling. But who can make him unable to beat Xiaolan? Although Maori Ran admitted that Kisakieri's cooking was extremely unpalatable, in order to let her mother move back to the office as soon as possible, she could only suppress the 2 useless men in the family by herself when no one was around. Maori Kaguro and Conan suffered from Xiaolan's tyrannical power and could only swallow their anger. Conan once doubted whether it was a wise decision for him to sneak into the office under a pseudonym. If I were living in the doctor's house, wouldn't I be able to eat all kinds of takeout and restaurants to my heart's content, without having to face Kisakieri's nutritious meals every now and then? The most frustrating thing is that in the face of Kisakieri's nutritious meals, at the request of the big devil Maolilan, they still have to smile and swallow the dish in their mouths. They even have to say something to encourage Kisakieri occasionally. It's only because Toyama Tobi doesn't know these things, otherwise he would light a candle for Conan. Women care a lot about the emotional value you give them. In this case, it's okay if you don't praise them. With this praise, wouldn't Kisakieri be more motivated? I'll post 1 chapter first, and I'll go clean up the kitchen and take a shower. I started typing at 0 o'clock and worked until 3 o'clock. The coffee machine and coffee beans are ready, and I'll start with the double espresso. Tonight is a sleepless night. Chapter 144 How to create a fairy when Zero is born. With the invitation letter, Toyama Tobi entered the villa smoothly and then got some food and drinks at the banquet venue, hiding in a corner to eat. At the same time, he paid special attention to the waiters walking among the guests in the villa. Pay attention to whether there is a blonde and dark-skinned handsome guy familiar to him among them. According to Toyama Tobi's understanding of Murotoru, a Murotoru will attack in the form of a working emperor and get into this banquet as a part-time job. Just when Toyama Tobi shifted his eyes from one waiter to another, suddenly, a voice sounded beside him. "What are you looking for?" Toyama Tobi turned around and found that he seemed to have seen a brand new version of a Murotoru. Unlike the usual dress of wearing various part-time uniforms, a Murotoru today can be said to have spent a lot of money. Toyama Tobi found that a Murotoru was wearing a decent suit at this moment. As the saying goes, clothes make the man, and the horse makes the saddle. A Murotoru, who originally seemed a little exotic, attracted the attention of the rich woman at this moment. Just as men would be brave enough to try all kinds of non-pure black western fruit plates, rich women also like the exotic style of Murotoru. However, the status of the guests who can hold an invitation to attend the birthday party organized by the chairman of the Four Wells group today is not too bad. So the rich women just handed their business cards to a Murotoru. Originally, a Murotoru could have walked to Toyama Tobi earlier, but there were too many rich women who took advantage of the opportunity along the way. He could only helplessly watch Toyama Tobi eat and drink in the corner. Toyama Tobi, who was startled by a Murotoru's sudden move, noticed the bulging pockets of a Murotoru and immediately guessed what was inside. A sense of admiration quickly filled his eyes, and then he gave a Murotoru a thumbs up. "You are worthy of being a cadre of the organization. I didn't expect that Bourbon's awareness is higher than Gin." Although Toyama Tobi was full of admiration, he did not hesitate to distance himself from a Murotoru. That determined look clearly showed that he was looking at a rising star in the organization. That's right, he wasn't even a gigolo, just a simple quacking duck. With just a look, a move, and a sentence, Toyama Tobi successfully made a Murotoru's blood pressure soar again. Tobi had already prepared himself mentally for facing Toyama Tobi again, and he didn't attack in the form of a waiter. He beat around the bush to get an invitation letter and then spent a huge amount of money to buy a suit. It was too late to customize it. The most important thing was that the organization would reimburse the cost. Toru Amuro did so much just to get rid of the subtle subordinate feeling left by Toyama Tobi when they first met. The so-called subordinate feeling refers to the fact that Tobi Amuro was clearly Toyama Tobi's superior, but because of the need to disguise his identity, he bent over in front of Toyama Tobi for a long time. He didn't seem to have the dignity of a superior at all. I thought that this outfit would make Toyama Tobi have the most basic respect for him, but what happened? Toyama Tobi, what are you thinking about every day? Exclamation mark. What the hell is that look in your eyes? Exclamation mark. Toyama Tobi's unbridled behavior made a certain guess in Amuro Toru's heart more solid, just based on Toyama Tobi's big mouth. If he was really discovered by Gin himself, he must have an unspeakable and amazing background to be able to live until now. Of course, putting aside the speculation about Toyama Tobi's identity, Amuro Toru felt that he could still correct some of Toyama Tobi's deviant ideas. Amuro Toru took out the thick stack of business cards from his pocket, ready to let Toyama Tobi take a look. As a result, Toyama Tobi waved his hands repeatedly. "Hey, bourbon is not allowed. I appreciate your kindness, but the salary paid to me by the organization is quite generous, and it is enough for me to spend for the time being. I would like to decline this part-time job." Huge blue veins bulged on Toru Amuro's forehead. He now wished he could open Toyama Tobi's brain to see what was inside. "Shut up and listen to me." Murderous words came out of Toru Amuro's mouth. His eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Toyama Tobi was afraid that Toru Amuro would hit him directly because of high blood pressure in the next second. You say, Toyama Tobi said to Toru Amuro that he could start his performance. Toru Amuro ignored Toyama Tobi's perfunctory and said seriously, "The owners of these business cards are either rich or noble. They may have the intelligence that the organization needs. These business cards are the best channels to approach them. I collect business cards for the sake of the organization's intelligence business. Do you understand?" Toyama Tobi immediately turned on the chicken pecking rice mode. I understand. Although it is not selling yourself to earn funds, selling yourself to earn intelligence is just as great. Don't worry, Bourbon. I have never misunderstood you. UTM. ****. Toru Amuro was panting like a cow. He had never encountered such an outrageous situation since he started undercover. Although Toyama Tobi didn't hear clearly what Toru Amuro said in the second half of the sentence, judging from Toru Amuro's expression, the words must be very dirty. It is obvious that Toyama Tobi is deliberately teasing Amuro Toru. The reason for doing this is actually very simple. Although Toyama Tobi has always wanted to contact the Japanese Public Security Bureau through Kudo Yusaku, but that is for the future. Toyama Tobi needs Kudo Yusaku to act as a middleman between him and the Japanese Public Security Bureau. In this way, the relationship between Toyama Tobi and the Japanese Public Security Bureau will become a weak cooperative relationship. No matter how weak Toyama Tobi is in this cooperation, he is still a party to the cooperation. What's more, Toyama Tobi has countless intelligence that the Japanese Public Security Bureau wants, which is completely a seller's market. So Toyama Tobi is not necessarily so weak. But if Toyama Tobi is developed by Amuro Toru into a subordinate in the organization, the taste will change completely. The two parties are no longer in a cooperative model, but Toyama Tobi needs the Japanese Public Security Bureau and becomes a subordinate relationship. This is something Toyama Tobi cannot accept at all. Therefore, before the probation period of Kudo Yusaku is over, Toyama Tobi will not let Amuro Toru feel that he has the potential to develop into a subordinate. That's why he will unscrupulously tease him here. After a brief loss of composure, Toru Amuro, who was good at controlling his emotions, controlled his emotions. To him, Toyama Tobi seemed to have some unexpected evil nature. This was also because Toru Amuro was careless for a moment, so he was easily provoked by Toyama Tobi. After realizing this, Toru Amuro simply turned on the bourbon mode and got straight to the point without talking about other things. Let's talk about business. The successor arranged by the organization for the Shijin group is in place. Now we are waiting for the eldest lady of the Shijin group, Shijin Ryuka, to appear and make the final attempt. At this gathering today, the chairman of the Shijin group also intends to let his daughter choose a future husband from the young talents who have arrived. The chances of the organization's successor being selected are not high, so you have to be prepared. Do you know what I ask you to prepare? Quick, I'm going to start a hearty writing session. Chapter 145 Yuanshin, you are a bit too extreme. I know. Are they those people? Yuanshin Fei nodded and raised his chin slightly to indicate the crowd of young people in the middle of the field. High-spirited, full of ambition, and full of confidence. At first glance, they are the main characters of this banquet. Just as Yuanshin Fei said, the young people in the middle of the field, or more precisely, the young men, stood together at this moment, pretending to be reserved, but secretly expecting something. The many guests coming and going were also unusually polite to these young people, because these people are the candidates for the husband of the only daughter of the chairman of the Shijin group. Those who can come to this birthday party usually have business dealings with the Shijin group to a certain extent. They also have some understanding of the situation of the next generation of the Shijin group. Although the chairman of the Shijin group dotes on his daughter, it does not mean that he will let a poor boy who is penniless and has no ability come in to inherit his family business. The premise for Shijin Lihua to choose her ideal husband at will is that she needs to freely choose within the range set by her father. Shijin Lihua's father gave her a multiple choice question, not a fill-in-the-blank question. Although there are many options, and it seems that there is a lot of freedom, in fact, that's right, it's them. Amuro Toru and Toyama Tobi stood side by side, looking at the men in the middle of the crowd who looked like peacocks spreading their tails. The man wearing glasses and a brown suit is called Ichida Takashi, 26 years old, an employee of the financing department of the head office of the city bank. Although he is just an employee, he usually drives a Porsche to and from get off work. Do you understand what this means? Amuro Toru calmly put forward a test to Toyama Tobi. It means that this man will be promoted to department head before the age of 28, and then steadily promoted without any obstacles. Before the age of 35, he will probably be on the verge of a section chief, and become the director of a certain department before the age of 45. Is their elder a senior executive of the head office of the city bank? Toyama Tobi thought for a while, and gave a very standard second generation promotion trajectory. You are right. Toru nodded. He could drive a Porsche to and from get off work in the head office of a bank without being criticized by his superiors. Either they are just here to mess around and give up, or they are powerful people with connections, who have such strong connections that even the leaders have to be careful with them. The chairman of the Shijin group will definitely not choose a second generation person who messes around for his daughter, so there is no doubt that Yazi Long belongs to the second type of people with connections. The handsome guy next to him in a light green suit and an orange shirt is called Nikeda Yuji, 27 years old, and works in the sales department of an advertising agency. It is worth mentioning that the president of that advertising company is his father. The man next to him in a blue suit is called Mifune Takuya, 26 years old, and the president of Mifune Electronics Industry. He is the most capable of these people. But this guy has no interest in Yotsuba. The only reason he came here is because his company has business dealings with the Yotsuba group. And the chairman of the Yotsuba group also likes him very much. The last man who looks very young is called Gojo Osamu, and he is indeed the youngest of these people. He is the general affairs section chief of Gojo Shoji, and as the name suggests, that is his family's business. These people all have good family backgrounds, but their development is not as good as the Yotsuba group. If they can marry Yotsuba, it will be of great benefit to them both personally and for their families. Toyama Tobi matched these people one by one with the names in his memory and then looked left and right. After looking around, he finally met Toru's puzzled eyes. What are you looking for? I'm looking for the successor prepared by the organization for the Shijin group. Yuan Shinfei said without hesitation. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that these people are the marriage partners prepared by the chairman of the Shijin group for his daughter. Can't our people even get into this small circle? Well, how can I explain this? Toru coughed helplessly and said, there is no way. In addition to family background and ability, these marriage partners have known Shijin Lihua for a long time. They are all members of the same yacht club, so the successor prepared by the organization for the Shijin group was excluded at the beginning? That's right. It is said that childhood sweethearts are not as good as those who fall from the sky. Why doesn't this universal law work when it comes to the organization? Yuan Shinfei was too lazy to find out which one was the successor prepared by the organization for the Shijin group, and if there is no accident, this mission will be given to Toru. If Toru didn't leave any backup and secret, he would be unworthy of his name as the Japanese wolf warrior. If the murderer in the original novel, Ichida Takashi, hadn't messed things up, Toyama Tobi guessed that Toru would have arranged a spectacular fake death. So what are you going to do? Toru stared at Toyama Tobi meaningfully and asked. Isn't that simple? Toyama Tobi smiled contemptuously. Could this still be a problem for him? Contact the organization immediately and ask them to send a certain amount of remote-controlled bombs. Then, set up the bombs before the birthday party officially begins. Finally, detonate them directly when the meeting begins. Toyama Tobi told Toru his plan seriously. Of course, they can't be detonated all at once, otherwise no one in the villa may survive. These bombs must be detonated in batches. First, gather people together, and then detonate the bombs to kill those people, including Rika's planned marriage partner and herself. Then let the heir prepared by the organization for the Shai group fight to the death to rescue his chairman, or should I say, godfather. In this way, the chairman of the Shai group who has lost his daughter will always find an heir for himself and the group. It is definitely too late in this life, and even if it is in time, he may not be able to wait until the day when the child is able to take over the group. Then adopting an adopted son is definitely a reliable choice. After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he looked at Toru beside him and took out his phone with an impatient look. How about my plan, Bourbon? You didn't tell me this was the situation before I came, otherwise I would have brought my own bomb. But it should be in time to call the organization now. Just when Toyama Tobi really wanted to make a call, his hand was held down by Toru. Toyama, you are a little too extreme. Toru's words were not false at all. He really thought Toyama Tobi seemed to be extreme. Originally, he thought that the answer that Toyama Tobi could give was to kill Yotsuba so that the chairman of Yotsuba group would lose his only daughter and then choose another successor for himself and the group. If it was Jin, he would do this. As long as he killed one person, he could greatly advance the progress of the mission. How efficient. Who would have thought that Amuro Tobi would hear such an outrageous plan from Toyama Tobi? How did Gin and Rum train Toyama Tobi? Why did Amuro Toru feel that they seemed to be training Toyama Tobi to be a terrorist leader? Why are you two going to join forces to start an incident and put a black robe on Toyama Tobi? Chapter 146 Bourbon. You will regret it. You Unshin, I'm the leader of the mission. The gleam in Toyama Tobi's eyes from time to time made Toyama Tobi's eyes look more and more wrong. Toyama Tobi really wants to do this? Exclamation mark. He is serious. Toru Amuro once wanted to knock on Jin's door and then question him fiercely. Where did he find such a big bomber like Toyama Tobi? Open mouth bomb. Closed mouth explosion. If Toyama Tobi really finds an opportunity, this bastard will blow up the Prime Minister's residence? Exclamation mark. Toru Amuro's original plan was to temporarily not have anything to do with Toyama Tobi after this mission was over. Judging from the importance that Rum attached to Toyama Tobi, once he had an inappropriate interest in Toyama Tobi, it might arouse Rum's suspicion. Although Bourbon of the organization cannot pay attention to Toyama Tobi, it does not mean that Furuiri of the Public Security Bureau cannot send people to monitor him. As long as the operation is done properly, even if the person monitoring Toyama Tobi is discovered, it will not be linked to Bourbon. Of course, this is just Toru Amuro's original plan. After listening to Toyama Tobi's crazy proposal, Toru Amuro immediately scrapped all his original plans in his mind. What about sending someone to observe secretly taking Bourbon out of Rum's sight? Forget it. Amuro Toru is now afraid that he will let Toyama Tobi do something big in Tokyo if he doesn't keep an eye on him. According to the character this guy is showing now, even if the Prime Minister's residence and the Imperial Palace cannot be blown up, the landmark building in Tokyo, the Taoto Tower, does not have such strict security measures. Okay, Toyama, I know what you mean, but this time we have to act according to the plan. Plan? What plan? Toyama Tobi was a little curious about Amuro Toru's plan. How can he win the trust of Rum and ensure the safety of the father and daughter of Shii? We are here just to observe whether the heir has the chance to become the husband of Shioriaka. Now the result is known. Just wait for the banquet to end and leave with the guests. After returning, we will start preparing the assassination plan against Shioriaka. Amuro Toru said to Toyama Tobi seriously and told him not to do anything unnecessary. Everything went according to plan. Such a request is in line with Toru Amuro's character. For some people who are very good at planning, it would be very uncomfortable if they don't follow the plan. There are all kinds of weirdos in the organization, and Toru Amuro is nothing special. Are you going to give up such a good opportunity to bring the heir and chairman Shijin closer? Toyama Tobi disagreed with Toru Amuro's idea. He still felt that a bomb was in line with Mika's temperament. I said don't do unnecessary things. Have you ever thought about what would happen if the bomb was not controlled when it was detonated and the father and daughter of the Shijin family and the heir of the organization were killed? Then why don't the organization just appear as a third party and forcibly seize the ownership of the Shijin group? Toyama Tobi said lightly. Anyway, neither the organization nor the Shijin group is his family's industry. Our Toyama's main goal is to watch the fun and not mind the big things. I said don't do unnecessary things. Toru Amuro has given up reasoning with Toyama Tobi and can only force Toyama Tobi to act according to his own plan. Bourbon, you will regret it. Toyama, I'm the leader of the mission. The words of regretting my shadow were vividly performed by Toyama Tori and Amuro Toru. The birthday party of Yotsuga Rika officially began. There was nothing much to say about the process of the party. Since Malrika Goro did not come, Toyama Tori was not cooed by President Yotsuga. Toyama Tori, who was eating and drinking from beginning to end, never stopped talking. Amuro Tori, who was standing aside, looked at him frequently. I say, you guy, aren't you going to drive later? If you are drunk, it is very dangerous to drive on mountain roads. Drunk driving is obviously illegal, but Amuro Toru can't talk about the illegality with Toyama Tori. A cadre of an international criminal group said drunk driving is illegal. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive after drinking. Driving without regulations will make your loved ones cry. What kind of look would it be? Although Amuro Toru thought that if Toyama Tobi rolled down the cliff with his car, it would be a good choice. But he instinctively felt that a scourge like Toyama Tobi would definitely not die so easily. Don't let Toyama Tobi, who is injured, throw himself into a desperate situation. That would be the time when Amuro Toru was really in a state of panic. Don't worry, Toyama Tobi shook the champagne glass in his hand and then drank another glass of champagne. Bourbon. There are always some things in this world that don't go according to plan. All we have to do is to adapt to the situation. The Triumph, Alcohol and Sex Invulnerability from Maori Kagoro produced a wonderful change in Toyama Tobi. That is, Toyama Tobi is less likely to get drunk than before. Now Toyama Tobi is only slightly tipsy after drinking all night, and Toyama Tobi didn't plan to drive on the mountain road at night. What do you mean? Amuro Toru didn't quite understand Toyama Tobi's words, but he did have a bad premonition. The banquet officially ended here, just as President Shijing took Shijing Lihua to the door of the villa and prepared to take a car home. Their driver ran over to report to President Shijing a bad news. The tire of Yotsuya Rika was punctured. Several husband candidates immediately came out to invite Yotsuya Rika and then learned that their tires were also punctured. Upon hearing this, Toru Amuro immediately looked at Toyama Tobi. At this moment, Toru Amuro looked very much like Conan, who first looked for Toyama Tobi at the crime scene. Didn't I tell you not to do unnecessary things? Toru Amuro narrowed his eyes slightly and looked very dangerous. For such an uncontrollable target, Toru Amuro instinctively wanted to kill Toyama Tobi before he grew up or got a code name. As for whether he would be exposed, this was the main reason why Toru Amuro had not killed Toyama Tobi. Because he was not sure whether it was worth it if he was suspected by Rum because of killing Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi chuckled and looked at Toru Amuro for a long time. You look like Jin who is ready to kill someone now. Bourbon. Toyama Tobi got a glass of bourbon from somewhere and tasted it quietly. Haven't I been under your surveillance all night, Bourbon? You know best if I have done anything unnecessary. This is what I called an unplanned situation. So what are you going to do now? I plan to stay here for one night. What about you? Are you going to continue to push forward that very subtle plan? To be honest, Amuro Toru is quite annoyed now. The plan to swallow up the Shijing group has been completed so far, and his subsequent arrangements for Shijing Ryuka's fake death have been prepared. He is just waiting to implement the plan after returning to Tokyo. Who would have thought that it was just a birthday party, but there would be an accident. Looking at Toyama Tobi's appearance, he must have some plan to stay in the villa. In order to prevent Toyama Tobi from getting suspicious, Amuro Toru decided to counter it. Even if Shijing Ryuka and her alternative husbands had their tires punctured, they could take other people's cars to leave. Shijing Ryuka may not really stay in the villa, right? Go to sleep and continue typing after waking up in the afternoon. The main point is a hearty and refreshing one. Chapter 147. If you drive a Mazda, you are not eligible to attend this meeting. There are only 5 people in total, including Shijing Lihua and her 4 potential husbands. There are so many guests attending the banquet today that they can easily digest these 5 people. What's more, they are willing to get close to the heirs of the Shijing family at this time. If they get in touch with the daughter or future son-in-law of the Shijing family, not to mention being promoted to a high position, the business will definitely be better than it is now. Just when many guests were ready to claim the passengers, Shijing Lihua's princess disease broke out as expected. According to her, today is her big day. How can she squeeze into a car with others to go back? At this time, Yuan Shenfei came out of the villa at the right time. Since Miss Shijing doesn't want to share a car with others, why don't you drive my car down the mountain? Or choose a knight to escort you down the mountain? Yuan Shenfei pressed the switch on the key, and the double flashlights of the Aston Martin flashed twice. This is part of Yuan Shenfei's later modification. The security in Bihua town can only be said to be there, but not much. If an alarm is not installed, Toyama Tobi is afraid that one day he will come to the parking lot and find that there is not even a hair left for him. Don't worry, I think my car will not disgrace your status, Miss Shijing. Shijing Liver looked at Toyama Tobi's car along the flashing lights, and then couldn't help but say, it's ugly. Huh. Toyama Tobi's eyes blinked again and again, as if he didn't hear what Shijing Liver just said. After all, there are great differences in aesthetics between people, but Shijing Liver's words reminded Toyama Tobi of a former girlfriend in her previous life, who said to a performance beast, it's not as good as a Mercedes-Benz C. Shijing Liver was obviously not very interested in Toyama Tobi's Aston Martin antique car, but she was obviously interested in Toyama Tobi as a person. Since this is your car, why don't you be my knight? Not very good. Asterisk and this was a thought that rose in the minds of many people at the same time, such as Shijing Liver's force waiters, and Amuro Toru standing behind Toyama Tobi. Amuro Toru knew very well that what Ryuka was doing now was tantamount to putting a piece of meat that looked juicy and plump in front of a hungry wolf. At the same time, he was speechless about Ryuka's good death. He really tried hard to save Ryuka, but who would have thought that this woman would charge forward to her death with all her strength? Or should we not save her? Just when the scene became subtle, because of Ryuka's words, President Shirley came to Toyama Tobi. If I remember correctly, you should be the agent of the Mori detective? President Shirley asked calmly. You have a good memory. Toyama Tobi nodded. He didn't mind giving some kindness to the old man, who was about to lose his daughter in middle age at this time. Of course, he also knew why President Shirley came so appropriately. It's like this. I just drank a lot of wine at the banquet. Now I'm a little drunk. So I want to stay here for one night with you, President Shijing. What do you think? Sorry, Miss Shijing. For our safety, I'm afraid I can't be your knight tonight. But it doesn't matter. I think there should be many people flocking to this glorious night, right? Yuan Shenfei gave enough face to President Shijing, but didn't give any face to Shijing Liha. It's obvious that President Shijing was quite satisfied with Yuan Shenfei's behavior. Hahaha, Mr. Yuan Shen is so polite. It's great that you like this banquet. No problem, you can live in my villa if you want. It doesn't matter how long you stay. As for Liha, you. Before her father finished speaking, Shijing Liha raised her head proudly. Forget it, I just said that. I won't ride such an ugly car down the mountain. It's so embarrassing. Yuan Shenfei ignored Shijing Liha's words with a smile and suppressed the murderous intent in her heart. No wonder it is so dangerous to be the president of Mecha. It is a miracle that he can die at this age. When Ryuka showed that she also wanted to stay in the villa, Amuro Toru came to Ryuka at the right time. Since Miss Shirley doesn't like Toyama's car, why don't you take my car down the mountain? At the same time, Amuro Toru pointed to the Mazda parked next to Toyama Tobi's car and shook the key in his hand. However, Amuro Toru's kindness was exchanged for Ryuka's contempt. Mazda? When did my birthday party become so low class? You are not qualified to attend my birthday party if you drive a Mazda. Ryuka's resentment caused by Toyama Tobi was vented on Amuro Toru's head. Then she turned around and walked into the villa like a proud peacock. As for Ryuka's alternative husbands, they naturally stayed unwilling to be left behind, except for Mifune Takuya who had no interest in Ryuka. Mr. Toyama, would you mind lending me your car? I was a little worried about how to leave here. Of course. Toyama Tobi threw the car keys to Mifune Takuya nonchalantly, and then reminded with a smile, be careful, my car is very powerful. Thanks, this is my business card. Call me anytime. When you get down the mountain. Mifune Takuya nodded to Toyama Tobi and started the Aston Martin and left the villa of the Otsui family. Toyama Tobi looked at Amuro Toru, who was also preparing to lend his car to Mifune Takuya, and said with a chuckle, why, are you worried that I will force him to stay? Don't worry, I won't do anything tonight, but Bourbon, you must keep an eye on me. Toyama Tobi's mysterious behavior made Amuro Toru a little confused, but what he said just now was right. Tonight, Amuro Toru must keep a close eye on Toyama Tobi, and all the accidents made Amuro Toru feel vaguely uneasy. But Amuro Toru has never figured out where this uneasiness comes from. After Toyama Tobi and Amuro Toru returned to the villa, they learned that Yoshi Ryuka had returned to her room to change clothes. Toyama Tobi asked the villa's housekeeper Naomi for a glass of rum and sat on the sofa to drink it. Amuro Toru sat next to Toyama Tobi, not knowing what he was thinking. Several of Yoshi Ariaka's candidate husbands in the room were obviously curious about Toyama Tobi, but noticing Toyama Tobi's repulsive behavior, they tactfully did not come forward. As time passed, Amuro Toru felt more and more uneasy as he looked at the wall clock. If it was just to change clothes, then Yoshi Ariaka had been away for too long. Just as Amuro Toru was about to remind everyone of this, Yoshi Ariaka's candidate husbands also obviously noticed that something was wrong. Masaji Rakuda is Yoshi Ibusen's executive director and Yoshi Ariaka's father's right-hand man. He is the person that Yoshi chairman left behind to protect his daughter. After all, this room is full of men who are interested in Shii Riaka, and President Shii is also afraid that some daring guy wants to take a shortcut by making a fait accompli. Rakuda Masashi politely said to the housekeeper Naomi, "Aunt Mi, can you please go to the eldest lady's room to see what's going on? I stewed a soup in the afternoon, and when I was serving the soup, I spilled a third of it on my hand. It still hurts a little now. It's really killing me." Chapter 148. Let me tell you a story. Nikeda Yuji died while searching for Shii Riaka. When Aunt Mi confirmed that there was no one in Shii Riaka's room, everyone, led by Masaji Rakuda, began to search for the disappeared Shii Riaka in the villa. After searching in the villa to no avail, some people turned their attention to the woods outside the villa and speculated that Shii Riaka might have lost her way while walking in the woods. Then the group ran to the woods to look for Shii Riaka. Toyama Tobi and Amuro Toru did not join their team to find Shii Riaka. According to Toyama Tobi, he did not ask for a place in the Shii group, so he did not need to accompany the willful young lady to play the game of night looking for the princess. If Toyama Tobi did not go, Amuro Toru would naturally not go either. Aunt Mi, the housekeeper of the Shii family, accompanied Toyama Tobi and the two in the living room waiting for everyone to return from their search. Then, they received the sad news of Nikeda Yuji's death. Nikeda Yuji was drowned in the fountain outside the villa. The people who went out to look for Yotsuga Riaka hurried back to the villa and just saw Toyama Tobi, Amuro Toru and Aunt Mi playing cards together. Amuro Toru looked up at the frightened people in surprise. "What's wrong? What happened?" Nikeda, he was killed." Rakuta Masashi tried to calm his breathing and then said with a complicated expression. Rakuta Masashi had a guess the moment he saw Nikeda Yuji. Just now, those who went out to look for the eldest lady were together most of the time. Then the two outsiders in the villa who did not act with them who had the opportunity to kill Nikeda Yuji are likely to be, of course, Yotsuga Riaka, who has been missing, may also be the murderer of Nikeda. But it is unlikely that Yotsuga Riaka, a girl, wants to force the head of an adult man into the fountain to drown him. Sensing Rakuta Masashi's suspicion, Toyama Tobi leaned on the sofa and said slowly, "Since you left the villa, the two of us have been staying in the living room with Aunt Mi. Even when Aunt Mi went to get the cards, we accompanied her. Mr. Rakuta, your suspicion is a bit unreasonable. It's impossible that we killed him." "Sorry." Rakuta Masashi nodded solemnly. He was very worried about the death of Nikeda Yuji. He was not worried about the death of Nikeda Yuji. The candidate husband of a young lady like Nikeda was only valuable when he was alive. Now that Nikeda Yuji was dead, his value was naturally zero. Rakuta Masashi was worried whether the disappeared young lady had an accident like Nikeda. Unlike Toyama Tobi who didn't care about it, Amuro Toru had been staying by Toyama Tobi's side. He naturally knew that Nikeda's death could not have been done by Toyama Tobi. This means that there is a murderer who has hidden himself around the villa, or even in the villa, and is eyeing them covetously. More importantly, if the murderer is not caught quickly, then Shii Riaka will be in great danger. Fortunately, Toru Amuro has a part-time job as a detective, and it is easier to take the lead in the investigation by speaking as a detective. At Toru Amuro's suggestion, the group immediately decided to conduct a thorough search of the villa again, trying to find Shii Riaka, who is hiding somewhere or hidden somewhere. As usual, Toyama Tobi did not participate. As expected by Toyama Tobi, this search was still fruitless. Whether it was the rooms in the villa, the wardrobes in the rooms, or even the refrigerator and microwave oven in the kitchen, they were all within their search range. But Shihyriaka was still not found. A strong sense of uneasiness lingered in everyone's hearts, and no one wanted to sleep for a while. Everyone wanted to call the police, but unfortunately there was some problem with the phone in the villa. The signal in the mountains was not good, and the mobile phone had no signal at all. As for Furuire's car, someone had damaged the tires. There was no choice but to wait for the daybreak and the rain to stop, and wait for the car from the Shijing family to pick up Shijing Liha the next day. They sat there for the whole night. At the suggestion of Yuan Shenfei, everyone sat together to play Texas Hold'em in the second half of the night. When they played, until about 6 in the morning, when it was Yuan Shenfei's turn to bet, Yuan Shenfei used the chips to cover his own cards, and smiled at everyone. How about I tell you a story before raising the bet? Everyone was confused for a while, but they didn't mind listening to Yuan Shenfei's story. This time, there was vodka in Toyama Tobi's glass. After taking a sip, Toyama Tobi put down the glass and told the story. This story happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, a group of people from the yacht club dropped anchor on an island nearby and went their separate ways to play. But they didn't know that a storm was about to come. When the thunderstorm came, most people returned to the yacht for shelter. Only 2 people in the group did not return. One was fishing on the boat, and the other stayed on the island. The island would sink under the sea every time the tide rose. So there was a brave man in the group who resolutely braved the storm, risked his life, put on a life jacket, and prepared to return to the island to rescue the people who remained on the island. Half a day later, the 2 people were rescued and sat on the rubber boat, but the brave man was no longer among the 2 rescued people. As soon as Toyama Tobi said this, most of the people present changed their faces, especially Ichida Takashi, Gojo Osamu, and Rakuda Masashi. Hey, why are you talking about this now, and how did you know about this? The young Gojo Osamu asked Toyama Tobi stutteringly. It seemed that they were very taboo about this matter. I'm a detective's agent, so naturally I have to know something about everything. Toyama Tobi looked at them meaningfully. Don't you think it's strange? The 2 people who were rescued at the time happened to be Nikeda Yuji and Yotsuga Rika. Now one of them has been confirmed dead, drowned, and the other is confirmed missing. What do you mean? Amuro Toru understood at once that Nikeda Yuji was drowned in the fountain. This killing method has a strong sense of ritual, as if it was to let Nikeda Yuji experience the experience of others 2 years ago. Toyama Tobi still looked like he had nothing to do with it, and continued to say to everyone, the body of the warrior was later found, but her life jacket disappeared. 2 life jackets, 2 rescued people, isn't this a coincidence? Everyone present was not stupid, and they naturally heard the implication of Toyama Tobi. Rakuda Masashi reacted the fastest. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the silent Ichida Takashi in shock. Ichida, you were the one who had the best relationship with Yiko among our group of people back then, right? Amuro Toru looked at Ichida Takashi, who was still silent, and a flash of lightning flashed through his brain. He knew where Yotsuga Ryuka was hidden. Chapter 149 My power is beyond your imagination. The lid of the bathtub was suddenly opened by Amuro Toru, revealing Shihyriaka, who was tied with ropes and fixed in the bathtub with tape. This bathtub was the place that Ichida Takashi was responsible for checking just now. If there was a problem with Ichida Takashi, it meant that all the places he checked had problems. Amuro Toru just chose a place that was easiest to hide and saw this scene in front of him. The bathtub was now full of water, but the shower head was still constantly discharging water from the bottom of the bathtub. Shihyriaka was completely submerged in the water and motionless. When Amuro Toru pulled Shihyriaka out of the bathtub, he found that it was too late. Shihyriaka had been drowned in this artificial sea. At the same time, Amuro Toru also understood why Toyama Tobi had to wait until this time to point out this matter. Because if Toyama Tobi had pointed it out early enough, Amuro Toru or others might have been able to save Shihyriaka in the bathtub in advance. It takes a long time to use the shower head to fill the entire bathtub with water. According to Amuro Toru's judgment, it would take at least a whole night to fill the bathtub with enough water to drown Shihyriaka. From this point of view, doesn't this mean that Toyama Tobi already knew about Ichida Takashi's murder plan last night? Exclamation mark. But how did he know it? Amuro Toru stared at the body of Yotsuga Rika in a daze. Last night, Amuro Toru had been staring at Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi was also quite cooperative and drank at his seat all night. Toyama Tobi's drinking capacity really scared Amuro Toru. It's not like he hasn't seen people who can drink. But after drinking so much, he didn't show any signs of losing his composure. At most, he was slightly tipsy. If Toyama Tobi and Amuro Toru drank together, Amuro Toru felt that he could be drunk to death by Toyama Tobi. Amuro Toru not only believed in his own eyes, he also believed in science. He didn't believe that there was such a thing as the clone technique in this world. This means that it is very likely that Toyama Tobi already knew these inside stories before he went to Yotsuga Rika's birthday party. It's no wonder that Toyama Tobi was still calm when Amuro Toru clearly stated that he would not let him make trouble. At this moment, Amuro Toru was really shocked by Toyama Tobi's intelligence ability. You have to know that what Toyama Tobi just said is something that even the parties involved are very secretive about, which means that the parties involved like Shiri Ryuka will never talk about this matter in normal times. Even if someone asks, they have to be vigilant. But Toyama Tobi can find out this hidden secret. What else does he know? The biggest secret of Shiri Ryuka and Nikaido is that when they were rescued, the life jackets on their bodies were snatched from Yiko. Because of their behavior, Yiko, who went to rescue Shiri Ryuka alone, was buried in the sea. A person is waiting to die alone in the sea. It also means that Shiri Ryuka and Nikaido have an innocent life on their hands. What is the biggest secret of Amuro Toru? He is not called Amuro Toru at all, but Furuari. He is not a loyal cadre of the organization, but an undercover sent to the organization by the Japanese Public Security Bureau. Amuro Toru has a sense of urgency. He wants to know what Toyama Tobi knows. He wants to know more about the information Toyama Tobi obtained from what channels. The fact that Amuro Toru has not returned for a long time also makes everyone in the living room realize something. Masashi Rakuta and Osamu Gojo led Takashi Ichida to the bathroom, and just in time, noticed that Toru Amuro was staring at the bathroom in a daze. Miss. Masashi Rakuta's eyes widened, and he looked at the bathtub in front of him in shock. Toru Amuro shook his head regretfully at Masashi Rakuta. I just confirmed that Miss Yotsuya has. Damn it, why did you do this? Masashi Rakuta grabbed Takashi Ichida by the collar and dragged him in front of him viciously. It's not that Masashi Rakuta and Yotsuya Ryuka had a good relationship, but the main reason was that Yotsuya Ryuka died here, under the care of Masashi Rakuta. With only one daughter, President Yotsuya will definitely vent some of his anger and resentment on Masashi Rakuta. Masashi Rakuta now has only one thought: can you kill someone at any time? You have to kill. While he is here, Masashi Rakuta doesn't even dare to imagine how bleak his future career will be. Facing Rakuta Masaji's questioning, Ichida Takashi just smiled coldly. Since the scene had been found, and the body of Yotsuba Ryuka had been found, he had nothing to hide. He calmly told his murder plan and motive. As expected, this was another unfortunate person who could not get what he wanted. The young people in the club all liked Yotsuba Ryuka, who came from a wealthy family, but Ichida Takashi liked Yiko, who was lively and cheerful. Ichida Takashi thought that the two would get married and have children smoothly, but in the end, the person he loved was so cruelly deprived of his life. In order to prove whether what happened that year was what he thought, Ichida Takashi had questioned Yotsuba Ryuka and Nikaido before killing them. But neither Yotsuba Ryuka nor Nikaido disappointed Ichida Takashi. These two were indeed two scumbags who were so simple that they could not be simpler. To avenge his beloved dead girl, Ichida Takashi had no psychological burden. Now that his murder was discovered, it was just because he was not as skilled as others. After listening to Ichida Takashi's motive for murder, Amuro Toru returned to the living room. In the living room, Toyama Tobi was standing in front of the French window with a glass of wine, looking out at the morning and the forest. When did you know about this? Toyama Tobi walked behind him and asked softly. When did you know? That was a long time ago. Very long time ago. Toyama Tobi's voice was filled with a hint of nostalgia, and then he smiled. I think I probably knew these things in my last life. Toyama Tobi just thought that this was a joke made by Toyama Tobi because he didn't want to reveal his source of information. But he didn't know how much sincerity was hidden in this seemingly joking statement. No wonder Rum and Gin value you so much. Your ability to obtain intelligence is really amazing. Toru Amuro still didn't give up, so he changed his way to praise Toyama Tobi implicitly. The purpose was to plant a hook for him to continue to contact Toyama Tobi after the mission was completed. Toyama Tobi knew Toru Amuro's personality, so he naturally understood what he was thinking and what he was going to do. So Toyama Tobi chuckled. The reason why Rum and Gin value me is not because of my so-called intelligence ability. But to be honest, I do know a lot of things that most people don't know. When Amuro Toru saw Toyama Tobi suddenly turned around and faced him, he couldn't help feeling a little scared, but on the surface he remained calm. What you said really makes me curious. Really? Then I'll show you after the mission is over. This laser is very laser. Chapter 150 Bourbon. I'm really impressed by you. After the rain, the sky cleared up. With the help of the driver of the Shijing family who arrived during the day, everyone successfully called the police. The two bodies and the murderer were taken away by the police. As for the witnesses and eyewitnesses of the case, Toyama Tobi, they will have to go to the Metropolitan Police Department to make up a record. After returning to Tokyo, Toyama Tobi and Amuro Toru parted ways. After returning to Tokyo, Toyama Tobi needed to go to the office to deal with the backlog of commissions. Amuro Toru also had to go back and adjust the subsequent replacement plan for the Shijing group. In any case, Shijing Ryuka, the next generation of the Shijing group, has been confirmed dead, and at least half of the things that Amuro Toru had arranged privately have been invalidated. Fortunately, time is not urgent at present, and Amuro Toru still has a lot of room for operation. The Mori family's trip to the Hashima Island lasts a total of 1 week. So far, 4 days have passed, and they will return to the office in 3 days. Toyama Tobi took out all the commissions in the mailbox, then took out the key to open the door of the office. That's right, because Toyama Tobi has become Maori Kagoro's agent, he now has the key to the office. He can enter and exit the office when Maori Kagoro is not there. After all, agents occasionally need an office to work. Toyama Tobi opened the commission letters one by one, then checked the commissions on them and sorted them out by category. The so-called commission letter does not mean that the detective will accept the commission after receiving the letter. Generally, the client will write the incident he wants to commission to investigate in the letter. After the detective receives the letter, he will decide whether to accept the commission. If accepted, he will contact the client according to the address or contact information left in the commission letter. Then a formal conversation will be held. If both parties still have the intention to cooperate, they can sign the commission agreement. As a qualified agent who is not short of money and just wants to have fun, Toyama Tobi will never interfere too much in what kind of commission Maori Kagoro accepts. Anyway, no matter what the commission is, no one who deserves to die will survive. It depends purely on where Maori Kagoro wants to go to be the living devil. The reason why Toyama Tobi came to the office to sort out the commission letters was mainly to allow Maori Kagoro to have a better working state and efficiency after returning, and to devote himself to the work with passion. Toyama Tobi's action of sorting out the letters suddenly paused. Speaking of being passionate about work, it is better to call Maori brother later and ask about their return time. What could be more exciting than Maori Kagoro and his party just arriving home, and then seeing Kisakieri prepare a table of delicious food, and then standing at the door to welcome them home virtuously. When thinking of this touching scene, that is enough to make people cry. Toyama Tobi couldn't help but burst into tears. Maori Kagoro can meet a good brother like Toyama Tobi in this life, so he should be happy. I guarantee that one will be happy and the other will not say a word. In order to show his importance to Maori's return home this time, Toyama Tobi plans to go to the supermarket later to buy some high quality ingredients to fill the refrigerator. Being a brother highlights a thoughtfulness. Just when Toyama Tobi was in a good mood and sorting out the commission letters in his hand, suddenly a commission letter caught Toyama Tobi's eyes. The commission on the commission letter is not important, and the commission fee stated on the commission letter is not very important. What is important is the name on the commission letter, Tsujimi Urakimi. There is actually nothing special about this person, but the reason why Toyama Tobi picked out her commission from the vast commission letters at a glance is because this incident in the original book was the first appearance of the Osaka black chicken. The victim in this incident is even a serving diplomat. Toyama Tobi doesn't care whether it is a black chicken or a white chicken from Osaka, but this diplomat who is about to die, Toyama Tobi feels that he can still do something about him. Toyama Tobi took out his cell phone and dialed a number that he had just saved. After a few seconds, the call was connected, and Toru Amuro's voice came. Toyama, Bourbon, how have you been these past 2 days? Thanks to you, I've been so busy. So what do you want to talk to me about? If there's nothing serious, I'll go to work on the tasks of the Four Wells group. Although Toru Amuro is not in a big head now, it's not much different. No one likes a well-made plan to be suddenly changed, especially in a bad direction. Toyama Tobi has a deep understanding of this, and said to Toru Amuro intimately, then you are lucky. I just received a very interesting piece of information. How about coming to play with it? Fuck. I'm really convinced by you. Toru Amuro resisted the urge to curse. He knew very well that the fun Toyama Tobi said must not be what he understood. If Toyama Tobi finds it fun, then he doesn't know how much of a headache it is for Toru Amuro. Toru Amuro rubbed his temples and spoke in an ordinary voice. What's the situation? Tell me. Do you know the diplomat Tsujimura Isao? It doesn't matter if you don't know. Now you can go and find out if he has any political enemies in competition. Then contact them. Toyama Tobi can understand the headache that Toru Amuro is feeling now, but he doesn't intend to sympathize with him at all. The lover of Japanese wolf warrior is this country. Now that his lover has a little temper, Toru Amuro has to be tolerant of his lover. In order to pretend to be mellow in front of Conan in the future, Mr. Furuya, you'd better bite your teeth and swallow it yourself. Contact the political enemies of diplomat Tsujimura Isao. Toyama, what are you going to do? Toru Amuro suddenly became nervous. His premonition was not wrong at all. Toyama Tobi was so bold that he didn't even have a code name and actually set his sights on a diplomat. Just when Toru Amuro was thinking about how to stop Toyama Tobi's crazy behavior without making a sound, he heard a strange laugh from Toyama Tobi. Relax, relax, Bourbon, you know me, I will never do anything I'm not sure of. He is just a diplomat, I will naturally not get myself involved. You can contact Tsujimura Isao's political enemies and tell him that we have a way to make him win an unprecedented success and victory. How to turn him into one of our own in the future depends on your operation. What do you think, Bourbon? I'm giving you a great credit, brother. Am I good enough? Good enough. It's so damn good enough. This is not a great credit. This is clearly a big trouble. Originally, Toru Amuro was an undercover agent in the organization with ease. Although he could not get in touch with the core business and people of the organization, he was still safe. This alone is better than many undercover agents. After meeting Toyama Tobi, all kinds of accidents happened one after another. He hadn't even finished cleaning up the mess of the Shijin group, and now a diplomat popped up. Amuro Toru now wanted the organization to send Toyama Tobi, the plague god, abroad for further studies for a few years. No, it would be best if he never came back. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.